Greetings, Dan McCalla here. Good afternoon, everybody. I've got Grant Lyman alongside me. You join us. We're already underway with qualifying for rounds 4, 5 and 6, or specifically round 4 of the 2023-24 Simply Race Touring Car Championship on the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch. You are looking at the championship leader, Lewis Manley, who is the favourite for this weekend, the fastest in free practice. Also benefiting from the fact that the men who are second and third in the championship, Martin Buchan and Chris Wilson, are not racing this weekend. And a chance for Lewis Manley, who won 2 of the first 3 races at Donington Park last month. We've seen him get a big slide through Paddock Hill Bend. A chance for him to bank some big points in the championship. John Dean Smith has done a very good initial time, 47.546. Manley was the only man into the 46s in practice, so we should still see these times come down quite considerably. Grant Lyman is alongside me, and much as we said with the Porsches earlier, Grant, tyres, whether it be through tyre wear or the use of the soft option tyre, is going to come into play today.
Oh, 100%, and the drivers obviously having the strategy with the soft tyre. As you mentioned, after qualifying they will choose the race which they have to use that softer compound tyre. Most races I think it's an advantage, but around here I think it's almost going to be a disadvantage. I think you'll get a very early boost in pace, but as that race goes on you're just going to find that you struggle and struggle and struggle as Aidan Carter goes to P2 and Lewis Manley jumps up to the top.
Yeah, you're right, and I've tried to focus myself with the medium and the soft tyre around this circuit, and the medium is lovely, really. You can rely on it and do a good consistent pace. With the soft, for a race distance, everyone's going to have to use it at some point. They will each privately choose which race want to run it after this qualifying session, but that's going to be a real compromise for everybody trying to make that tyre last 24 laps. So Lewis Manley quickest at the moment, marginally, at 47.383, ahead of Aidan Carter and John Dean Smith, but we should see those times still come down a fair amount in the remaining just under 12 minutes we have of this session. We're watching John Dean Smith here. He has just improved in time, 47.519, but stays third. And now Lewis Manley, 47.073. Always going to lose it there, though. Big hit into the barriers going up Hailwood Hill. He just set a new fastest time, but I think though with those tyres, that will very much bring his initial run to an end. But Manley certainly setting the bar, and I think tyre wear wise, that's going to be the big thing to watch for with Lewis today, because of how prone, particularly obviously with the front wheel drive cars, those front lefts are to overheating.
I think if Aidan Carter can secure P2 on the grid, he's going to make today quite difficult for Lewis, especially as the laps start to unfold. 24 laps in each of the races today. It's quite a lot for the tyres, especially when you're using that soft compound tyre. It's going to be fascinating, because that BMW, I would say it's an advantage to run the softs in the race.
Yeah, I mean, something that Aidan mentioned driving the BMW at Donington was that he was struggling to get the tyres, so particularly the rears, switched on. So he was finding he was ending up with very hot fronts, very hot rears, and you've got one half of the car trying to oversteer and one half of the car trying to understeer, and it made it very difficult to control. So the jury's still out in terms of how much of an advantage he's going to get in tyre life by being the only rear-wheel drive car. He is the only rear-wheel drive car on the grid this year, isn't he? Yes, he is. Grant's nodding. So time will tell, but if it does work out to his advantage, yeah, he could make this very interesting. He's got a big improvement in there to get within a tenth of Lewis Manley, 47, I should say, 0.165. And Ben Bennyworth had got into fourth, 47.545 before coming into the pit. So it's Manley, Carter, Dean Smith, Bennyworth, Keir, Pringle, Boyle, Vincent, and then the 2 Chris brothers, Dale and Ben, bringing up the rear at the moment with just under 10 minutes to go.
In terms of qualifying performance, Lewis Manley and Aidan Carter are in a different world at the moment. Aidan, like a good 3/10 quicker than John, and Lewis being a good 4/10 quicker than John as well. So these two just finding that little bit extra time that other drivers seem to be just struggling with just a little bit.
Yeah, and just to mention that John's no slouch at all, is he? He's getting increasingly confident in this car. Came very close to winning race 3 at Donington. And so, yeah, to be 3/4 up on him on a track this short is a very, very, very fine pace indeed.
Yeah, I think John is always a good benchmark in terms of, like, especially in a qualifying session. He is very good at hot lapping. So, yeah, to see these two drivers just shows how much speed these two have got today.
I know we touched upon it briefly at the start of the season, but now we've obviously got some points on the board. Is it worth, Grant, just very quickly running through how the hybrid's going to work over the 3 races today?
Yep, so basically the hybrid itself, now I'm not going to tell you the exact numbers because off the top of my head remembering all of those, I'd be a little concerned if I remembered all of them, to be honest, but basically for race 1, championship order will determine how much hybrid you have, so the higher you up you are in the championship, therefore Lewis Manley, he will have only, I think if I remember correctly, he will have 4 laps of hybrid at 15 seconds of each lap, but as you go through the order you get more laps and more hybrid, basically. So it does even out the field quite a bit. So Lewis is going to have all the work to do with the least amount of hybrid. Aiden's going to have a fair bit more than him, though, because he is P4 in the championship at the moment. So he's going to have a fair chunk more, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and then, so for race 2 and race 3, we're going back to the results of the previous race.
Correct.
To decide the hybrid allocation.
So yeah, so first race is championship, race 2 is the results of race 1, and then race 3 is the results of race 2, which determine that.
Great, thank you for that, Grant. Just having a look at Ben Bennyworth, he's done personal best in sector 1 and 2, so he's on for an improvement here, and he goes up to 3rd ahead of John Dean Smith, 47.506, still over 4 tenths off the pace. Just off into the gravel there, and just had a positive result with a podium finish in the Porsches earlier on. And Ben back in the top 3 for now. Let's have a look at Ben's in a purple first sector, personal best first sector as well for Lewis Manley. So he's also on a quick lap. I think they're around the same part of the track. I think Lewis is just ahead. So we'll keep an eye on both of them as they come up towards the line. A purple second sector for Manley, and this could be, as he did in practice, this could get him into the 46s. He did a 46.7 in that practice session earlier on. Whether the qualifying here, we're only running on the medium tyre rather than the softs. Manley does shave off a few more hundreds, 47.045. The fact in qualifying trim he's doing that would suggest to me most likely that he did that time in practice on the softs.
Yeah, I believe so. That's what I think. 47.0 is still a very fast time in these cars, so. Well, Aiden putting in an 18.7 for sector 1 as well, so he is pushing along too. But it looks like Bennyworth is going to maybe start to challenge him for that P2, but as Lewis is on another really hot lap, but he got kicked off a bit of dirt there through clearways, so we'll see if he improves or not. Aiden abandons his lap.
So yes, I think this probably will get Lewis Manley into the 46. It does, 46.881, so he now got just a tenth off what he managed in practice. Big lurid slide through Paddock Hill Bend. John Dean Smith, meanwhile, here he is in the Napa car.
And he sneaked back into 3rd place.
Back into 3rd place, 47.430. John, of course, celebrating as the Napa's winning of the real world British Touring Car Championship at Brands Hatch with Ash Sutton last weekend. Here's Dale Crisp, who's at the bottom of the order, but on for an improvement here. No, it's a bit of a slow lap. I think he made a mistake in the last sector, so he remains bottom of the part at the moment, but absolutely no shame at all in only being 1.5 seconds off a driver of the calibre of Lewis Manley. So lots more drivers now coming into the pits, and just over 5 minutes to go, they've burned a bit of fuel off and put another set of medium tyres on for one last assault to get themselves higher up the grid.
Interesting to see Lewis staying out on track as well, going for one more hot lap. Run a bit wide at Paddock Hill Bend. Not seeing that live, but he has run just a little bit wide, so be surprised if he improves on this one. Aidan Carter is on his outlap to try and steal that pole position. I mean, it's a lot closer than I thought it would be after the results of practice, so I'm very happy to report that.
Yeah, Lewis was over half second clear, wasn't he? So Lewis is really sort of throwing it through Paddock Hill Bend in particular, really just sort of flinging the car into the corner, which may work for lap time and certainly flamboyance, but in race trim may not necessarily do his tyres any good. So let's follow Aidan Carter round this full lap as he starts his first flying lap of his last run with Manley in the pit. He's well off. Just snapped on him, and that's what he mentioned to me about before practice, that the car will feel understeery and then will suddenly kind of switch to oversteer later through the corner. That's a perfect example of the struggles that Aidan Carter's having with rear-wheel drive that he was outlining earlier on, but at the moment he's still looking for a front row. He's still got over a quarter of a second in hand on this man, John Dean Smith, who I think will be fairly satisfied with his 3rd place at the moment, 24 thousandths clear of Ben Bennyworth. Wait and see if Ben's going to go out again. I imagine he probably will, with Just under 4 minutes to go, so still plenty of time to get a few laps in.
So we'll just keep an eye on both Aidan and John. We'll see if Aidan is able to recover with a little bit more tyre wear than he would have probably liked with that little off at Paddock Hill. But with this car being rear-wheel drive as it tries to snap on him again, as we're just seeing that through there. And John is on, I think this will be his final run. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to pit again.
I wouldn't have thought so. But he's done a personal best first sector. He's only a few hundredths off, so really encouraging start for John Dean Smith as he comes down the Cooper Straight into the left to Surtees, the right to McClamel. We'll get a second sector time now, 0.14. This is a good lap from John. If he can absolutely nail clearways, and it's looking pretty solid to me, he might actually even be able to unseat Aidan Carter and get himself onto the front row, and that would make for a very happy JDS if he can manage it. He's coming out to the line now. Can he knock Aidan Carter out to second place? Yes, he can by 2,000. Well, the gaps on my screen says 2, but you can see from the numbers there, it's actually 0.03 of a second. 47.163 for John Dean Smith, and he might just about have done enough to sneak onto the front row. But what's this man got to say about it first?
Well, this man has just put in a purple first sector faster than absolutely anybody at all.
By nearly a tenth.
By nearly a whole tenth of a second.
Yeah, sorry to cut across you there, Grant, but that's an absolutely outstanding first sector for Aidan Carter. What does his second one look like? Coming up now, he's nearly 2 tenths down.
It is a personal best, though.
I think he's going to need a really, really good last sector, though, to try and make sure he can get that second place back off John Dean Smith. Past the pit entrance now, back onto the Brampton Straight to finish the lap. Will this put Aidan Carter back on the front row? Yes, it does. 46.981, exactly 1/10 of a second off Lewis Manley. That's a very, very good effort there by Aidan Carter. And the suggestion is, given the second sector wasn't that great, there may still be a bit more time in there.
Definitely. And John is calling it quits.
That'll be John Dunn.
That's John Dunn. Yep, he's literally gone into the garage itself, so that's him done. Lewis Manley's just put in a personal best first sector. Let's see if he can improve his pole time and extend that exact 1/10 of a second gap that he has currently to Aidan Carter.
I don't think Aidan's going to improve on this lap. He will get potentially 2 more goes on it, depending on the tyre, but I don't know, because Lewis Manley may be about to improve even further. 46.881, that's his own fastest so far. Coming up to the line now, did he find any improvement? Not quite. Just a couple of hundred short, with a minute and a quarter of the session to go, but another very impressive lap in the 46 from Manley. He's not going to improve on this one because it's all the way into the gravel. So let's go back to Aidan Carter. First sector coming up any second now, and he's dead level at the first sector to the 1,000th. So good lap. This is where he's been losing out, these 2 left-handers that make up the middle sector. So an improvement here could give him that 10th that he needs. It is a good second sector, actually. He's only 800ths off here. This is not completely out of the question here for Aidan Carter. He might be able to, I'll say probably slightly surprisingly, snatch pole position right at the very last. Here he comes to line. 46.881 is the time to beat. Oh, he's a 100th short. 1/100th of a second. It was a purple last sector. What an effort by Aidan in the BMW. He's just lost the lead of the Porsche Championship, but he's still showing he's got all his pace and form with him at the moment. He's got one last go at this, but I don't know if he's still got the tyre to do it, and he's a 1/10.5 down, so I don't think he's going to do it, and I think his battle to try and unseat Manley for that pole position is going to come up agonisingly short.
Yeah, and Manley not on a personal best either, though. It's not too shabby. He runs very wide on the exit of Graham Hill there, kicking up a lot of dirt, I've noticed. He's got to be careful with those track limits, says Lewis.
Ben Pennyworth found an improvement, 47.402, although he remains in 4th. Checkered flag is out. 48.0 for Ben Chris means he is in 8th place, 7,000th off Gareth Boyle in 7th spot. Charlie Keir, 47.5, that's a great lap. He's the best of the newcomers at the moment in 5th spot. Great lap from Charlie Keir. He was probably the pick of that group of drivers at Donington in the first round. And with the flag out, I think that will be that. Manley did a 46.9.
Yeah, which was
on his last lap.
His best. Yeah, it was a purple final sector, but the rest of the lap was a little bit off pace. So.
And looking at the sectors, I think that is that. So pole position for Lewis Manley, pretty much as expected, but signs are he won't have things all his own way in the races to come. Aidan Carter just 1/100th of a second off his time. Those two sharing the front row. John Dean Smith and Ben Pennyworth are on row 2. Then it's Charlie Keir, Stuart Pringle, Gareth Boyle, And then Josh Vincent's the one who finds himself in the crisp sandwich in between Ben and Dale. So race 1 coming up very shortly. Do stay with us here at Simply Race. Round 4 of the Simply Race Touring Car Championship Brands Hatch coming up very shortly. There's your grid. Lewis Manley and Aidan Carter separated by just 10 thousandths of a second on the front row. It's time to go racing. It's the first of 3 Simply Race Touring Car Championship races today on the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. It's round 4 of 21 of the championship. My name is Dan McCalla. I've been taking you through this 24-lap race. I apologise in advance for my increasingly squeaky voice, which is going to get worse as the race goes on. Grant Lyman may play an increasing role in the commentary as the afternoon progresses. Here's your grid. Lewis Manley on pole, which was to be expected, but Aidan Carter just 1/100th of a second behind him. John Dean Smith and Ben Bennyworth are on row 2. Then Charlie Keir and Stuart Pringle, who's the only driver running the option soft tyre in this race. Gareth Boyle, Ben Crisp, Josh Vincent and Dale Crisp round out our 10-car grid. The 2 drivers who are 2nd and 3rd in the championship after Donington, Martin Buchan and Chris Wilson, are not racing this weekend. So as we get the warm-up lap underway, Grant, qualifying suggesting that Lewis might not necessarily have it all his own way here.
No, and it'll be interesting to see how well Aidan gets it off the line going into turn 1. Being a rear-wheel drive car, you'd expect it to be a bit quicker, but Aidan did struggle with that in Donington. But the tyre life of that BMW and the pace that Aidan's been showing in practice and qualifying, I think he's going to be giving Lewis some grief through this race.
Yeah, we've seen Lewis responding to pressure in different ways at Donington in race 1, defending off Martin Buchan, and then right on the limit of the defence in race 3 with John Dean Smith on the last lap. He only has a 1-point championship lead coming into this event. Martin Buchan and Chris Wilson not here, so a big chance for him to score major points and capitalise.
I briefly spoke to Lewis before practice and he told me he's not going to change his defensive style either, so this could be fireworks.
Absolutely. The start, I think, will play a big role in how this 24-lap race pans out. So they come to the grid. Manley, the red and white car, will be on pole position, then the predominantly black BMW of Aidan Carter in 2nd, and the distinctive Napa Racing blue and yellow of John Dean Smith in 3rd, and the blue and green of Ben Bennyworth, who's just going to line up in 4th in the top right-hand corner of your picture. He's just had a shot. Then Charlie Keir in the Mr. Blobby type livery in 5th. Here we go. Round 4 of the Simply Race Touring Car Championship on the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch begins now. Again, Carter struggling off the line, still not really getting that BMW going in 1st gear, and I think John Dean Smith is going to have him in 2nd place. Carter's going to try and hang it around the outside. It is Manley in front, all the way around the outside, but John Dean Smith is going to have the inside line for Druid. Kieran Pringle almost coming to blows, coming to panic hill. Ben, great work by Aidan Carter around the outside to Druid. I think he'll be very pleased to have held on for 2nd. So it's Manley, then Carter, then Dean Smith. Oh, there's a spin at the back. I think it was Gareth Boyle has gone off. Difficult start to the day for him, but it's Manley, then Carter, then Dean Smith, Bennyworth, and then Stuart Pringle, who's on the soft tyre, remember, headed Charlie Keir. And that soft tyre, Grant, as we know, as Gareth Boyle can say, has rejoined. Good performance for the first couple of laps, but very difficult to manage over a race distance.
It's going to be super tricky for him to manage that tyre through the distance, so he needs to make hay while the sun shines and make as many positions as he can now. I do want to say, what a mature 2nd corner for Aidan Carter. Like, he knew if John got in front of him, this race victory would potentially completely slide out of his hands. Saying that, though, John has not left his bumper since he got in front of him.
No, mate, speaking of making hay while the sun shines, Lewis Manley has already managed to build up a lead of nearly 2/3 of a second, or nearly a full second now, within a lap and a half. So he'll be very happy and very much in the pound seat in this early stage of the race. So Manley, Carter, Dean Smith, Bennyworth, Pringle now ahead of Charlie Keir, and then Josh Vincent, and then the Chris brothers Dale ahead of Ben as they come around clearways and back onto the Brabham Straight to complete lap 2 of 24. Let's have a look at this is the first flying lap at the lap times as they cross the line now. Manley 47.6, Aidan Carter 47.9, John Dean Smith 47.8, and everyone else in the 48. So the pole was a 46.8, about just best part of a second off the pole position time that Lewis Manley set. So pretty much about what I think we would have expected for a race pace, given how prone these tyres are to overheating.
Absolutely. So I think we're going to see a lot of tyre management from some drivers as well. I think Lewis's strategy is just to push as Gareth Boyle puts in a purple first sector for his next flying lap, as Lewis puts in a purple middle sector. I think Lewis's strategy is always just push as hard as you possibly can with the tyres in their current state. So he will drive these tyres right to the edge of their lifespan. Whereas I think Aidan and John, they're going to think, right, long game, It's a long race. These tyres are going to be destroyed if we absolutely go for it, trying to catch Lewis now, as Pringle gets a little bit sideways coming out of Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, case in point, Lewis just did a 47.2 on that lap. Aidan Carter and John D. Smith both did 47.9, so the gap is up to 1.6 seconds now. Will that be enough? Will it be too much? John D. Smith is off the road at Graham Hill Bend. He's not gone off, but he has rejoined, but he's just run out of road as he tries to get on the power early on the exit there. He has retained third place, but he's fallen much more, as we see here, into the clutches of Ben Bennyworth.
And Ben Bennyworth is going to want to get in front of John Dean Smith, but it looks like John is recovering quite well. I have a feeling he might be using the hybrid here to maybe just make up for some of that time lost.
Yeah, John will have a bit more hybrid than Lewis Manley or Aidan Carter, who's a little bit further behind in the championship. I think going into this weekend, so he might be able to use that to his advantage as we go on to lap 5. How's Stuart Pringle doing? He's wrapping in the high 47s. Is that going to be a bit too quick for that soft tyre one? He might pay for that later on in the race. Still a long way to go on this very short track, just 1.2 miles. Hence the reason we have so many laps of it.
And for the first time, we're starting to see Aidan Carter actually lapping a little bit faster than Lewis Manley, who's a little bit quicker in Sector 1. He's a tiny bit quicker in Sector 2, but it's starting to look like that Aidan is amping up the pace as he does a 47.4, which is a personal best time for him.
Aidan did say after qualifying that it does take him a few laps. Dean Smith really attacking the curbs there. It does take him a few laps to really get the tyres at a decent operating temperature and really get the most out of them. So the fact he's been gradually winding up the pace so far does make a lot of sense, and it does mean that the gap between Manley and Carter is sort of stabilised around 1.6, 1.7 seconds for the time being. We are looking at Ben Bennyworth coming increasing pressure from the soft tyre shod Stuart Pringle. Everyone else choosing to run the softs in races 2 or 3. We'll see how that develops as the afternoon goes on. But Stuart Pringle definitely the best of the newcomers at the moment. Lewis Manley's responding now. I think he's about to do a fastest lap of the race, a 47.1. That's only 0.3 slower than his pole position time, 47.164, and that will be a big compromise at the top. Big send on the inside from Stuart Pringle. There's contact with Bennyworth. Bennyworth just managed to hang on. Pringle was coming from the next postcode for that one. Managed to hang on to it. Good defensive work from Bennyworth to prevent another attack from Pringle at Druid. Pringle on the softs in that almost tiger-like livery, and he wants to get past.
Yeah, I think he maybe overestimated the amount of extra grip you get from those soft tyres, but it definitely has put him in contention as we see Gareth Boyle starting to recover his way through the field. He's got past one crisp, he now needs to get in front of the other.
Yep, he's halfway through the packet. He'll want to get that finished off and get down to the forward at the bottom and move into 8th place. So Gareth Boyle, I think it was just about to go off there actually. Oh, he's just managed to rejoin. He had gone onto the gravel, but he's managed to hold on to the 9th place. I think Ben Crisp is going to come back past him. They're going to be side by side over the line as they come up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the 8th time. And Ben Crisp manages to get through. So Gareth Ball's charge back through the field has been blunted somewhat. Let's go wide through Paddock there. And Ben Crisp goes off almost in sympathy. I think Ball might try to dive up the inside. No, he can't quite manage it. So some great scrapping still going back off the field. Here is that fight for 4th. Bennyworth still just ahead of Pringle. How much life Stuart Pringle in particular taking out of those tyres. The gap between the front two, I can tell you, has stabilised. It's still around 1.7 seconds. So yellow in sector 3. I don't know if anyone in particular, doesn't look like we've lost any of the leaders. I think some more contact between. I think Dale Crisp is the one that's lost out in particular. I think he was in 8th place and he's fallen behind his brother and behind Gareth Boyle as well. And these two also catching John Dean Smith. I mean, they're doing high 47. John Dean Smith did a low 48 last time round. So they might bring themselves back into the conversation for getting on the podium, but this very much, as we were saying, Grant, a race of tyre management. It's not a race for pushing 100%.
No, let's keep watching those lap times that Lewis Manley's putting in, because I cannot see how his tyres will last at that sort of pace. It's different for the BMW, as we previously mentioned. It is different for the BMW, being a rear-wheel drive car. It's not going to wear the tyres as much. We're not even halfway through the race, and we're already seeing sometimes dropping into the 49s here on the circuit. So tyre wear already starting to take effect, as we see Pringle all over the back of Ben Bennyworth.
Yeah, Stuart Pringle very much on the attack here, trying to get that 4th place to be his best result so far after a difficult weekend at Donington, but the pace is definitely there, and up that is Gareth Ball exiting stage right again. He's managed to get back on though. So he'll keep with this battle for 4th place at the moment, with Lewis Manley and Aidan Carter still very much not much between them on pace. A note on Aidan Carter, because obviously he's the only car in the field that's rear-wheel drive. He feels the soft tyre actually works better for his car and actually proves to be an advantage rather than disadvantage. He's not running it in this race. We'll see it either in race 2 or 3, and we will watch his progress with interest when he does run it. So we're 10 laps into the race. Lewis Manley leads Aidan Carter by 1.8 seconds. Then it's these three. You can see John Dean Smith in the blue and yellow in 3rd. Ben Bennyworth and Stuart Pringle here 4th and 5th. Charlie Key, you can see in the background there in the pink car, is in 6th place. And then it's Vincent, Crisp and Gareth Ball are pretty much nose to tail, 7th, 8th and 9th. Dale Crisp a little bit further back, bringing up the rear in 10th as we approach the halfway mark of round 4 of the championship.
I think Pringle's going to be really happy with this race, you know. I mean, we haven't seen the softs wear off just yet, so I could be speaking quite early, but this is a really good performance for him.
Yes, absolutely. I know. Let's have a look at his results from Donington. I know he had a bit of a difficult weekend there. His best finish was in race 1, where he finished 8th. So this is a significantly improved performance. He wasn't really on the pace of Charlie Keir or Gareth Boyle that weekend, but he's doing much better this time round. Good defensive driving from Ben Bennyworth. A little bit of an error that cost him a 2nd place in the 2nd Porsche race, but he still finished 3rd. But normally, good, consistent, reliable results. Like every postman, he always delivers. And he's really delivering at the moment as he keeps himself ahead of Stuart Pringle in P4. Worth mentioning, they are now less than a second behind John Dean Smith. So this could start becoming a 3-way fight very, very quickly. And as Aidan Carter manages a fastest final sector to keep the gap down at 1.7 between the leaders.
Yeah, starting to see him just slowly close that gap to Lewis Manley over the last few laps. It is coming down. It was over 2 seconds earlier in the race. We're now down to 1.7, which doesn't sound like a huge gain. It isn't 3/10, but nearly a second and a bit in Sector 1. Sorry, 3/10 in Sector 1 alone.
Yeah, that's a big gap to come down to 1.3 now. And I don't know if we can follow the leaders over the rest of the lap very briefly, Grant. We'll come back to about 3rd in a minute. We're on board with Aidan Carter. The gap's come down by another nearly 2/10 in the 2nd sector. It's down to 1.2. So is this just a bit of a duff lap for Lewis, or is it a sign of tyre deterioration? If it's tyre deterioration, then he's in big trouble, because we're only just over halfway through the race. A 47.7, well, it's a 47.0 by Aidan Carter. It's almost as quick as it in qualifying, and he has upped the pace and got the gap down to less than a second.
He really has, as this battle for 3rd is about to heat up as well. Always seems to be the way with these races, Dan. When it all kicks off at exactly the same time.
Yep. You wait 12 laps for a battle, and then 2 come along at once. So Dean Smith, Bennyworth and Pringle now 3rd, 4th and 5th. These two have gradually reeled JDS in over the last 5 or 6 laps, and there's someone going very, very slowly. There. Is that Aidan Carter? Oh, Aidan Carter's gone. I think it's a technical problem. Aidan Carter has dropped out of 2nd place. What a shame for Aidan Carter. On lap 14, Lewis Manley's already gone to cross line start lap 15, but Aidan Carter has had a technical problem of some description, and his car has ground to a halt. It's such a shame for him. He's doing so well, just the fastest lap of the race.
Well, we'll see what happens in terms of what race control decide to do, if they decide to throw a virtual safety car, something like that, to allow him back into his position. They may not, because of the previous decisions made at Donington. We'll see.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. But
so
yeah, a crying shame there.
We'll have a big battle between Pringle and Bennyworth, and this now is for the last spot on the podium. Lewis Manley has found himself with a lead of over 8 seconds. John Dean Smith is now 2nd. Bennyworth and Pringle 3rd and 4th now. So there's 2 spots on the podium here to fight out for, rather than 1. So these guys really gaining from Aidan Carter's demise. Can they come across the line to complete lap 15? 9 laps to go. Stuart Pringle still doing sort of, they all did 48.3s that time around, all three of the drivers you see in your shot there. So, so far, Stuart Pringle's soft tyres, relatively speaking, seem to be holding out pretty well. Into Druids once again. Dropping down to Graham Hill Bend, one of only two left-handers on the track. The next corner is the other one, which is Surtees. A little bit wild from Bennyworth, having to go a little bit defensive again. Stuart Pringle is not afraid to send it from a long way back, so he will have a go if he thinks he can get through. If they do start scrapping between the two of them, that will definitely help John Dean Smith out, because you can see it already. It's given him just a little bit more breathing space.
Yeah, John's going to be really hoping, I think, that Stewart just absolutely sends it.
Aidan Carter has resumed whatever problem he had. He has been able to carry on. He's running in 6th place. He's just behind Charlie Keir. He's less than a second behind Charlie Keir. So that's he's still running. Oh, big lunge up the inside. I think there might have been a bit of contact. There's going to be some more contact going around Druids. Ben Bennyworth is going to have the inside line for Graham Hill Bend, though, and should, at least for the time being, be able to hold on to the place. Yes, he does. But Stuart Pringle, if he enters the final third of this race, now really gunning for what would be a maiden podium finish in this championship.
I'm really impressed with how Stewart's kept these tyres alive through the race. I think he's done an absolutely bang-up job of keeping these softs alive through the whole race.
Yeah, he hasn't really made any errors. I think, Charlie Keir's had a problem. I think he's had a spin and fallen back because he's dropped right to the bottom of our leaderboard. I don't know if there's any contact with Aidan Carter, who's fighting his way back through the field. Grant's thinks saying no, so Aidan Carter's managed to retake 5th place. But look at the difference that Pringle's attack has made in allowing John Dean Smith to get away in a bit of breathing space. He's now got about 7/10 in hand over Ben Bennyworth. So JDS at the moment on course for a second consecutive second place, because he was second to Lewis Manley at Donington in race 3. But this is the battle to watch for the remaining 6.5 laps of this race. Will it be the very experienced Ben Bennyworth or the series newcomer Stuart Pringle who are going to take the last spot on the podium?
I'm just feeling quite bad for Aidan Carter at the moment. Still
Really?
sorry, apologies. I just feel like we had a grandiose battle to the end of this race, robbed from us. So,
and not only that, but of course it's also harming his starting position for race 2 as well.
Yeah, just like in real life touring cars, you have bad race 1, it kind of sets the tone for the whole weekend. At least he may have race 3 to get him a bit up in contention. But I tell you what though, he's in P5, so you know, he's not out of contention. I would just say for this race he is.
Yeah, who knows? One of these three may yet come to grief, because Bennyworth and Pringle have once again closed right onto the back of John Dean Smith. It is once again a 3-way fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Well under a second between the 3 of them. They come into clearways for the 19th time. It'll be 5 laps to go this time when they cross the line. Lewis Manley has indeed already crossed the line. He now leads by well over 9 seconds. So he's on course to make it 3 wins out of 4 this season. And look how close Bennyworth is. Bennyworth making a move up the inside. I think John just didn't have the grip out the corner, and Bennyworth, seemingly out of nowhere, has managed to come through. He spent most of the race looking in his mirrors, and it looks like, at least for the time being, he's into 2nd place. John's trying to fight back. He doesn't want to compromise the line too much, because Stuart Pringle will be through as well. That might be what we see happen. John has got the inside line for the next corner, which is Graham Hill Bend. Can't quite take the racing line because Pringle's there. And again, just struggling to get the drive. And I wonder if John's just cooked his tyres a bit too much when he was out on his own in 2nd place. So Bennyworth into P2, and now it's between Dean Smith and Pringle to decide who finishes 3rd.
Absolutely epic. It's all like Bennyworth just came from nowhere. It's almost like he found some extra pace. I wonder if John has just overdone his tyres. Look at how slow he is on the exit of clearways. And Stewart, with the soft tyres, which should be in way worse condition, is all over the tail of him.
Yeah. I'm thinking that Bennyworth might have used his hybrid to get past. It was such a pronounced sort of closing. Maybe John's on a hybrid. Pringle up the inside now. It's going to be a big move. There's contact. John's going to stand his ground because he knows he's got the inside for the next corner. This is proper touring car racing, and John is going to hang on, but he's going to have to hang on for another 3.5 laps now if he wants to get his 2nd successive podium.
Extremely good driving from the 2 of them there to not turn that into an incident.
Very hard and very fair. That's what we like to see in touring car racing. We don't want anyone to overstep the mark. We do want to see is good, hard panel banging racing. Pringle going very wide into clearways to try and get that tighter line and the faster exit. See if I can run into Paddock Hill Bend. He's a lot closer now than he was when into the corner. John's going defensive. 3 laps to go as they cross the line now. Pringle might go for a send from there, but John's got it covered. but is he going to take the apex too early? Stewart's missed the apex, and that's going to ruin his chance of trying to get up the inside at Druids. And he got a good run through Paddock there. I think going through the mud, it's going to come from a long, long way back. He can't really take that one, surely. I'm glad he didn't spin John round. That was a full-on send, but John Dean Smith is on notice that Stuart Pringle is going to be on maximum attack for the remaining 2.5 laps of this race. And now he's going to have another go. It's side by side. Sorry to interrupt Grant, because Pringle's having a look into Surtees. What did you want to mention about Carter?
I was saying, Aidan Carter, just the pace he's showing at the moment is absolutely unreal. 18.6 in Sector 1, which is a purple first sector. I think it's impossible to say he wouldn't have won the race. He would have won the race. Sorry, I think
it would have been a very good battle.
Like,
if he's got that pace this late in the race,
he's 6/10 quicker than Manley at the moment. Make that 8/10. So
fastest
1
lap.
point.
Fastest lap of the race, Aidan Carter. 46. Is that can't be right?
That is a 46 dead.
46 seconds. 46.
That is 46 dead.
The pole position was what, 46.7?
Yes.
And he's just done a 46. He must be using the hybrid, surely.
It must be, yeah.
He must be properly on the hybrid there. That is an absolutely stunning lap. It's 8/10 quicker than pole position was. That is absolutely astounding. Aidan Carter showing he's got the pace in the BMW late in the race on worn tyres. That's an absolutely superb lap. We go back to this battle for second, third and fourth. They're just coming around now. Lewis Manley has already started the final lap. Ben Bennyworth is there going to go through there in second place. But is it going to be John Dean Smith or Stuart Pringle on the podium as they start the last lap? Pringle is definitely not close enough to have a go into Paddock, but he closes right up. Is he going to compromise his run up Hailwood Hill to Druids? He's close enough to attack. John's definitely going to have to defend here. Oh, John, I think John just saw him come in. There's a little bit of contact, but John knows he can run it wide and hold it off into Graham Hill Bend. He's done it a couple of times previously, and that's just going to leave Surtees, McLaren, and then clear ways to go. It looks like it's going to be Lewis Manley who wins. It's going to be Ben Bennyworth in second, who is going to finish third. John Dean Smith or Stuart Pringle into Surtees, then the right of McLaren, and then the right of Clearways. We go to Lewis Manley. He's going to cross the line and win the race. He takes his third win of the season. Then hope we can cut back and see who's getting third. It looks like John Dean Smith might have just about done enough. He can hug the pit wall. Don't know if there's any hybrid. If Pringle's got hybrid, he may beat him on the run to the line. I don't think he's quite going to get there. It's going to be Ben Bennyworth in second, third for John Dean Smith, fourth for Stuart Pringle. A great result. And Aidan Carter does a 46.795, a fastest lap to end the race. I wonder if that was a 47.000. I think that was a glitch in our timing screen, because Aidan Carter has done 46.795.
Although saying that,
on the final lap of the race,
with 21 laps to go, he was 7 seconds off of the second, third, fourth battle. He finished the race 2.5 seconds off of that battle.
Blimey. Yeah, on that last lap, Aidan Carter was 1.5 seconds quicker than John Dean Smith and Stuart Pringle. Unfortunately for him, you don't get any bonus points for fastest lap. It's a real shame. But leave no one in any doubt about our race winner. From lights to flag, Lewis Manley. 3 wins out of 4 this season. Second place for Ben Bennyworth. Third for John Dean Smith. And then Stuart Pringle, Aidan Carter, Gareth Boyle, Dale Crisp, Ben Crisp, Charlie Keir, and Josh Vincent. And we'll be back with you in a few minutes' time to talk to our podium finishers. Back to Simply Race and at the end of race 1 of the touring car for the second meeting of the season. We've got a chance to speak to our top 3 finishers now, as well as Aidan Carter, of course, had that very unlucky mechanical problem. We'll get a chance to speak to him as well. So first thing first, speak to our third place finisher, which is John Dean Smith. A second consecutive podium for the Napa racing driver, and having to soak up a lot of pressure from Stuart Pringle at the end.
Yeah, that was really difficult. I had absolutely no tyres with about 10 laps to go. That was particularly difficult. Ben got a major run on me into paddock with a few laps to go. I could see he was using hybrid. I'd sort of been saving a little bit towards the end.
We did wonder if it was a hybrid move.
Yeah, I could just see him coming in the mirrors. He was clearly on the hybrid. I'd been trying to save as much of it towards the end as possible, just so I could try and out-drag people down the straight, because through the corners towards the end of that I had absolutely nothing whatsoever.
So still very good result though. It was a second in race 3 at Donington, so a third place here, and sort of still encouraging that you're able to sort of mix it at the front of the field.
Yeah, no, really happy with the podium. Would have preferred second, but that was, as I said, that was a mega move by Ben. And I think he just had the pace on me towards the end. But yeah, no, really happy to be on the podium. I'm really happy to have kept the pace that I've got. I don't think I would have kept the podium had Aidan not had some issues during the race. However, won't know.
Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. Well done again, John. We may well see you later on, so turn your pack off. Thank you very much. We'll now speak to our runner-up, Ben Bennyworth. His second podium of the day after he picked up a third place in race 2 in the Porsches. And it was a John up here, Ben. And it was a cracking move you did on John towards the end of the race, making use of the hybrid.
Yeah, it was pretty much a tough race. I had pretty much Stuart throughout the whole of that race on my back, and it was just kind of a case of hoping that he would sort of fade off and just let me focus on John. But no, fair play, he stuck onto it, he held onto it. And then obviously the move going into paddock up the inside of John, even I surprised myself on that one. I had the push the pass on him. I thought, right up the inside, full yeet, see what happens, and it worked out, I suppose you can say.
Yeah, and after a very chaotic race in the Porsches early, it must be nice to be able to sort of get your head down and just concentrate and reel off some laps, even with the pressure behind you.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Cooper compared to the Porsche is like night and day. You know, you can push a little bit harder with these cars. You can, fight each other a little bit more, shall we say? And yeah, it's really good fun cars. Really good to drive.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Ben. P2. We may well see you later.
Thank you very much.
And I'll bring our race winner. 3 wins out of 4 this year now for Lewis Manley as he extends his championship lead, of course, with the 2 nearest rivals absent. If you want to push your button on green. There we go. So congratulations, Lewis. Initially quite a bit of pressure from Aidan, but must be very satisfied with the lights to flag victory.
Yeah, pretty much. It was such a shame what happened to Aidan because he was really closing. I think he was using a bit of hybrid as well, and obviously his tyres would have been up to normal temperature. So the pity of what happened to him as when that happened, obviously that gave me much more breathing space. So I could just take it easy from there and just coast it home, and that's what I did. So really happy to start like this. So comfortable win and a good start to the day.
Excellent. And how are you finding sort of tyre wear and everything? Because with this track, a lot of overheating, there's obviously a lot of stress on the front left tyre. How were you? I guess were you able to manage it a lot easier when you had a lot of breathing space after what happened to Aidan?
Yeah, I was taking it much more easier when he had that moment. So he would have probably put me under pressure and made me go defensive. But I think these tyres are a little bit more harder than Donington Park. I really thought with these cold temperatures it wouldn't be too bad, but front left can certainly be a very angry tyre, so that's why you've got to take it easy and be very circumspect on them. So that's why I've got to just take it easy against the race too.
Okay. Obviously, at some point later on this afternoon, we don't know when, you'll have the soft tyre coming up as well. I know you ran it in practice. How does that change how you approach the race from a tyre management perspective?
Well, obviously soft tyre will degrade a lot more because you're obviously you're using it much more severe than the medium, and as of course because you get much more grip on the soft tyre, and it goes you get quicker wear, so that's why you've got to take it very cautiously to begin with and just try the best you can and see if it holds up to the end, which it should do. So hopefully I could just carry on and the way I did and just keep winning.
Good job. Well done, Lewis, and I'm sure we'll speak to you later on, so thank you very much. I'll take your mic off you, and hopefully we can have Aidan come and join us, who would have finished second at least had it not been for a bit of a technical problem. He still recovered and still picked up 5th place in a very impressive fast lap at the end. So just tell us what happened to you.
Well, coming out of Druids early on in the race, I noticed my throttle pedal kind of feathered a bit. Put the foot down, nothing happened, and then it did happen. I was a bit like, oh, maybe it was a lag issue. Next lap, came around the next corner, put my foot down, and nothing happened. So throttle pedal failed. All the other pedals were working, just, throttle pedal failed. So ended up just cruising down the back straight for a bit, lost about 10-15 seconds. And then it's just impossible really to recover from there. So, it was a bit of a shame, but yeah.
But it must be very encouraging the pace you showed, particularly towards the end of the race. Being able to do 46s on worn tyres like that must, given you obviously going to have to work your way through some traffic on race 2 to get up to the front, that must be really encouraging for you.
Yeah, really encouraging. I think it's no secret coming into this race that I was a bit nervous about the performance of the BMW, but surprised myself in quali, and then the race pace I was really surprised by. I've been struggling all kind of week long with getting the front tyres to work, but I managed to be able to kind of drive around that a bit now, which is good. So gives me hope for the next 2 races at least.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully we'll see you back here later on with a bit better luck. So fingers crossed. Thank you very much indeed, Aidan. That ends the interviews for race 1. Stay with us here at Simply Racing. Have a very short break. Race 2, round 5, just round the corner. Stay with us. back to Brands Hatch, just about to get underway with our second race today, round 5 of the 2023-24 Simply Race Touring Car Championship. Lewis Manley won race 1 and therefore will start from pole position race 2 with Ben Bennyworth alongside him, then John Dean Smith and Stuart Pringle making the most of an extra hybrid from being lower down the championship and the soft tyre to come within a hair's breadth of getting a maiden podium. Aidan Carter would have been up there going for the win in race 1 for a technical problem. He recovered to 5th, which is where he starts. Then it's Gareth Boyle, the two Chris brothers, Dale and Ben, and then Charlie Keir, who fell back late on, and Josh Vincent rounding out the grid. There are 2 drivers who are using the soft option tyre in this race. Ben Bennyworth, who starts second, is one. Aidan Carter is the other, and that's going to be a particularly intriguing proposition in him, his working way up from 5th place, Grant, as they start the formation lap. Because Aidan was very, very quick towards the end of the race on the mediums in race 1, and he feels he's actually stronger on the soft tyres with the BMW being rear-wheel drive.
Absolutely, I think he's going to be a very, very strong competitor in this race. I think his race all depends on his start and how quickly can he dispose of the 3 cars before he gets to Lewis.
Absolutely. Just a quick word, by the way, on the championship points. So Lewis Manley's win with allied to mainly the absence of Martin Buchan means Manley now leads the championship by 16 points. He has 71. Ben Bennyworth is up to second on 55. He's very happy about that fact. John Dean Smith is now third on 52. And Martin Buchan on 50 points is now joint 4th with Aidan Carter. Buchan and Carter are both on 50. So plenty of time though for that to change. With 2 more races to come, and with now we know what the tyre nominations are, we now know there are going to be 7 drivers in this field running that soft tyre in the reverse grid race 3, and that could make for a lot of action in our final race today, so make sure you don't miss that one.
I found it super interesting in race 1 just how well Stuart made those soft tyres last compared to the medium tyres around him. Maybe just that little extra grip just really helps you. Maybe just the extra grip, you're using the tyre less potentially, but it should be really interesting to see as Lewis gets into his grid slot. Yeah,
just to note, Annabelle, our race director, made a very good point that because Stuart came into this race very low down in the championship, he had a lot more hybrid to use than those around him in race 1. In race 2, that won't be the case because it's being based on the race 1 results. So here we go. Race 2, Manley, Bennyworth, Dean Smith, Pringle and Carter, your top 5 on the grid.
And I think we've aborted the start from the looks of it, so I think there is a small technical hiccup.
Yeah,
I can see the race director running to pod 14, which is Aidan Carter's new pod.
Yeah, because of the technical problems in race 1, Aidan Carter's been moved to a new pod, which now also has technical problems. I think he just takes the bad luck around him. He's already had a reasonable amount of bad luck today as it is, Aidan. After, of course, winning race 1 in the Porsches, having a spin in race 2, so hopefully we'll get that sorted, and we'll be back on the grid very soon. We'll leave you for a couple of minutes just while this technical problem gets sorted.
I think we're going to be, I don't think it's going to be very long. I think they're just going to have to reset the grid and get underway. I can see race control has run back to the desk.
Simply Race commentary will return right now. Thank you for that, Grant. You can see on the monitors much more than I can regarding times and everything, so hopefully this won't be too long of a delay.
I'm just going to duck out and make sure that is sorted. So I will leave you in the very capable hands of Dan McCalla.
So 2 more races to come today. Just worth mentioning, next time out, there's no race next month because we have the Simply Race 24 hours around Abu Dhabi. So the next race at Thruxton isn't until the middle of December. So plenty of time for the drivers to do to test and get used to what is a very particular circuit, a very fast circuit as well at Thruxton. So make sure you are with us for that one on the, I think it's the 10th of December. Don't miss what we rounds 5 and 6 for the Porsches, rounds 7, 8 and 9 for the touring cars. What news, Grant? Have you got an update for us?
It was just the rumble motors. Aidan's gone from a sim which didn't have rumble motors to one that does have rumble motors, and he was just a little bit perplexed. So in the question of fairness and level playing, we've switched off the rumbles for him.
So it'll be the same as what he had in race 1.
Yeah.
That seems fair enough to me. So that should be able to get it reset, so it should only be a minute or 2, and we're getting back on track side. Will we be having another formation lap?
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will, yes. So we don't want to get caught out
No.
like we did in the first Porsche race and suddenly the race starts. We don't want to have to go through that again.
However, the setting will be the same.
Yeah,
so
it's likely, isn't it?
It will waste more time if we then reload to not have a formation lap, so we'll just go straight into the race. But gives us more time to talk about, and yeah, you made a great point about Stuart Pringle having more hybrids. So
Yes,
it
we
will
hadn't,
be
yeah, hadn't touched.
interesting.
Yeah, we hadn't touched on it at the time. It was a well done to Annabelle for raising and everything, and he's obviously used it very well. Stuart, as I said, is a new driver to the challenge. It was a very, very good drive. I mean, if I go back to his results from Donington, he picked up a 8th in race 1. Then he was last in race 2, and then 10th in race 3. So he came into Brands 10th in the championship. Whereas Ben Benioff and John Dean Smith, who he was fighting with, came in 5th and 6th respectively, which is why obviously he had much more hybrid relative to those around him, particularly later in the race. As we heard from John Dean Smith in his interview after race 1, he was really struggling with his tyres towards the end.
It's great to see the hybrid doing that, though, giving us that mixed result. It's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to help equalise, like, not so much the car difference for us because they're all equalised here, but however, more like the driver difference to make it a little bit more exciting so that one driver doesn't just run away with it. And if they do, it's much more impressive when they do so.
Yeah, and I mean, they've had the hybrid system in the real world British Touring Car Championship for 2 years now, and I know the impact of it has been probably limited and has been called into question quite a bit in terms of whether it adds to the entertainment of the racing or not. It's very good to see it making such a big difference here. We've got different cars and different drivers using it in different ways. So I think we are just about to get cars back on the grid. There they are, as if by magic. You see the confirmation once again of the grid order: Manley, Bennyworth, Dean Smith, Pringle, then it'll be Carter, Boyle, I think that's the wrong way around. I thought, Dale Crisp ahead of Ben Crisp. Sorry, my timing tree is playing tricks on me. And then Charlie Keir and Josh Vincent bringing up the rear. Another 24 lap race ahead. Just a reminder, Aidan Carter and Ben Bennyworth are on the soft option tyre for this race.
It'll be really interesting to see how well Ben gets off the line with those soft tyres as well. How much initial push is that going to give him? Although starting on the outside line, probably going to be a little bit more of a disadvantage, but I feel like he's going to be able to carry a lot more speed initially through paddock, so he'll be able to get later on the brakes into Druids as well.
It may also make a bigger difference for Aidan, who's really been struggling with his starts. It's the one big weak point that he's fully acknowledged that he's struggling with that BMW, so it may be, we'll keep an eye on it when this race gets underway, that the soft tyres help him get off the line a little bit better. So we have another formation lap. The race distance itself doesn't change, and we don't take a lap off like they probably would in real world racing, so it will still be a 24 lap race of this undulating 1.2 mile circuit in Kent.
It's a lovely day today. It's a shame it's so cold.
Yes, it's got a first day of winter feel, hasn't it, today? I know Brands Hatch in real life is hosting the final round of British Superbikes today, which I'm very much looking forward to catching up on when I leave here, and probably later tonight once I've watched the rugby.
British Superbikes around a very cold Brands Hatch sounds quite lethal.
GP circuit as well.
The GP loop as well, yeah, that's quite scary.
Yep, and it's a title decider between two teammates that do not get on as well. So the sprint race was on a damp track yesterday, and it was absolutely superb. So if you've got Eurosport or Discovery Plus, once you finish watching us here, make sure you go and watch the final round of BSB, because it's going to be an absolute cracker. See which one of Tommy Bridewell and Glenn Irwin win that championship. So back round to the grid then to refocus briefly on the touring cars as Lewis Manley leaves us round. And it'll probably still a little bit of a source of frustration for Lewis had it not been for that technical problem at Donington. It would have been a perfect season for him now, and quite possibly be looking at 4 wins out of 4. He lines up on the pole position once again. Bennyworth in the blue and green, and the blue and yellow of Dean Smith. Then Stuart Pringle's Tiger liveried car in 4th place. Then Carter in 5th. Round 5 of the Simply Race Touring Car Championship at Brands Hatch will get underway now. Better start from Carter. I think he's going to get past Pringle. Bennyworth has used the soft tyre to start very well. So the two soft shod cars starting very well indeed. Manley, Bennyworth's gone really, really wide. Halfway to the car park. He's almost on the M20. And he's going to have Dean Smith to come through. I think it's going to be a dream for Aidan Carter if he can get through as well. So with Manley, then Dean Smith. Then who's going to be third? Bennyworth or Carter. It's going to be Bennyworth, and I think Gareth Boyle's just gone off. One of the Chris brothers, I think, went very wide, and it just forced Gareth Boyle off, but he's managed to rejoin. It's Manley, Dean Smith, Bennyworth, Carter, Pringle, then Dale Crisp and Ben Crisp, then Charlie Keir Gareth Boyle and Josh Vincent bringing up the rear as we come towards the end of the first lap. John D. Smith going very, very wide indeed. Well, the one part of the race where they won't be complaining the tyres too hot, they have to be complaining they're probably a little bit too cold. So the two soft-tyred cars in third and fourth, and if Carter fancies his chance of winning this race, and he showed how good his pace can be, they'll want to try and get past Ben Benioff very quickly. That is Ben Chris, Charlie Kieran, all of his contact. Gareth Boyle, well held by Gareth Boyle. I thought he was going to carry into them and take the pair of them out. He's held on to it on the also very wide line by Dale Crisp. I think Ben Crisp in the British Racing Green car is going to come through, and he has. It moves him up into 6th place. Dale Crisp is off the road. Gareth Boyle did get past Charlie Kieran. Now he's going to find himself into 7th place. And now they've both got off this. Everyone's kind of going off at Graham Hill Bench. It's a very liberal approach to track limits there. Some great racing further back through the field, and Josh Vincent in the Gulf colours now looks like he's coming in to join the fun.
But we go back up to the front of the field as P4's Aidan Carter is all over the back of Ben Bennyworth. Now, I feel like this is going to be quite a tricky overtake with Ben having the soft tyres. Aidan's going to have to get this done super quickly if he wants the victory in this race. Yes,
absolutely. He can't really afford to have Manley getting away up the road. Manley sort of tyre management. And a bit of an unknown quantity in this day because he didn't have to push that hard towards the end of the race. There's still cars throwing themselves at the ceiling. They're back at the field. They're having as much fun as you can have with your pants on. So we'll keep an eye on those towards the back, and we'll keep our camera on the battle for third and fourth. And Stuart Pringle, now on the mediums and now with less hybrid to play with, is still very much holding his own in that 5th spot with some very experienced company. It's a very, very good showing so far from Pringle. A bit of a lock-up from Carter. Gets a bit closer to Bennyworth this time.
We've got a yellow in sector 3. I think Josh Vincent has just dropped it all the way down to P8 from the
No, I think it's Ben Crisp.
Ben Crisp.
That's a real shame because he got clear of that group. He was in 6th place. John D. Smith's gone really, really wide at paddock. Ben Bennyworth's going to have him, I think. John's going to have to try and hang it out round the outside and hold the inside line for Graham Hill. But I don't quite think he's going to be able to do it. He's not. Bit of a mistake by JDS. Bennyworth is up into 2nd. Can Carter follow through? He'll want to because Lewis Manley is already leading by 2.5 seconds almost. That might not sound like much, but in a championship this competitive and knowing how Lewis can manage races, that is a fair side gap.
I do wonder though if Lewis will take this race after now having the experience of running a full race stint with the mediums. I wonder if now as Aidan goes to the outside of John.
Yeah, just wanted to pick that up. Thank you, Grant. John's going very, very defensive. Aidan's trying to go all the way around the outside of him. I think he's made it stick. He has a great move. I think that must have been on the hybrid with the run that he got. Aidan tried to do a move just like that in race 2 in the Porsche and had a spin. So I think he'll be really happy to have got that done. And Bennyworth went wide at Druids as well. So he's straight latched on to the back of Bennyworth. So if Aidan Carter designs on winning this race, these first 4.5 laps couldn't really have gone much better for him.
Definitely so, and he's all over the back of him. Pringle is also all over the back of John Dean Smith as well to see if he can get that 4th place. But as I was saying, Lewis's strategy in race 1 obviously changed quite drastically when Aidan dropped out of the race. He eased off the pace. I wonder if he's going to take a similar approach. His lap times suggest not, however.
No, fastest lap of the race, 47.1. Bennyworth 47.6. Carter 47.3. Has he got a good run to get on the inside of Hayward? I think he has, you know, because Bennyworth just lost a bit of traction and has allowed Carter to get up the inside. And Aidan can't be absolutely delighted. It's taken over 5 laps to get himself into 2nd place. John D. Smith, meanwhile, still desperately trying to hold off Stuart Pringle. We know that JDS really struggled to save his tyres in race 1. Having to do so in race 2 for a lot longer will put him under even more pressure. So what can Aidan Carter do? He did the fastest first sector of the race there, despite overtaking Ben Bennyworth in the process. How will his lap time now compare to Lewis Manley, who's got just under 3 seconds to make up? So Manley's just about to cross the line. Let's see what time it does. 47.5. Aidan Carter does a 47.0. It's the fastest lap of the race so far. The gap is down to 2.8 seconds.
I think Aidan used quite a bit of hybrid there. He obviously has a bit more hybrid than these cars around him as well, which is really going to help him on his journey. Lewis is now going to see the familiar name A. Carter behind him. I wonder if he's going to start to feel the pressure.
Yeah, he will gradually see that BMW looming larger in his mirrors because Carter has taken out another 1/4 second just in the first sector of that lap. That's just Paddock Hill and Druids. Second sector is just Graham Hill and then the run through Surtees. Let's have a look at it now. Well, Carter's about just a few hundred slower that time around, but he is making progress. At this end of this lap, we've still got another 17 laps to go. So there's plenty of time for Aidan Carter to close that gap and put Manley under some pressure.
Yeah, he's probably monitoring his wear as well. Aiden is a very, very sensible driver, does very well in endurance style racing. So this sort of making sure that you can get the most out of the tyres without destroying them style of driving is absolutely perfect for
Yeah, of all the regular drivers we have at Simply Race, I think Aiden's probably one of the very best at driving to the numbers, giving himself a target time to aim for and driving accordingly. So the gap is now down to 2.6 seconds. We will monitor that very closely. This is one of the closest battles on track. Gareth Boyle and Josh Vincent behind are also very close for 7th and 8th spots. Let's have a look at them and see what they're up to. Here they are. That's Boyle in orange. Vincent is in the Gulf colours. That's the recovering Dale Chris behind them in 9th place. Oh, big twitch there from Boyle. What happened? Just almost a bit of snap oversteer, wasn't it? Very, very strange.
Definitely snap oversteer. I think Boyle's definitely struggling with Brands Hatch Indy. He seems to be quite tuned in at Donington, but I feel that Brands is maybe a bit of a weak track for him.
Dale Chris looked like he's probably on the hybrid there, trying to get past Vincent. He should be able to get the late apex and try and cut up the hill. Has to swerve to the right to do it. Almost got too good a run, but he's got the inside line. Will Vincent try and hang out the wheel of death around the outside to hold on Graham Hill? This classic Brands Hatch style of racing, he might just be able to do it. And he does manage to hold on to that 8th place for the time being. Fastest second sector by Aidan Carter. The lead is down to 2.3 seconds. We have a race on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. This is by no means over. A 46.8 by Aidan Carter. He took more than 6/10 out of Lewis Manley on that lap. The gap is 2 seconds.
Lewis is definitely going to be noticing this, and he's probably just seen that purple time update. We know Lewis likes to keep an eye on those fastest lap times, which normally has his name next to them, let's be honest. So he's going to be feeling the pressure.
And another 4/10 in the first sector. Aidan Carter is very much on the charge. He's picking up from where he left off the end of race 1. He managed to overall Lewis Manley to win this from 5th on the grid and take what would be his first victory in the Touring Car Championship. It would be an absolutely stupendous achievement. So I don't think it's going to be too long, maybe a few laps till we switch our attention to what's going on with the leaders. They're across the line now to complete lap 10. Manley 47.6. Carter 46.9. The gap is 1.4 seconds. Carter is absolutely flying on these soft tyres.
Absolutely incredible performance, and he's driven this race so sensibly to get to this position of potentially winning the race. He got through the pack nice and quick. He didn't take any unnecessary risks, though. It was all done nice and cleanly. So yeah, great drive so far.
There were, of course, a lot of conversations about Lewis Manley's driving under pressure after his defence against John Dean Smith on the last lap of race 3 at Donington, and now he's going to be having to deal with a defensive exercise once again, and we'll see how he responds. I know he wasn't penalised on that occasion. I know the stewards did have a little bit of a word just to remind him of where the limit is. Another fastest lap by Aidan Carter, 46.785. Manley only a 47.5, and Carter is going to be right on the back of him by the end of this lap, I think.
Yeah, he's all over him now. He's gaining so much through Paddock Hill Bend. He's able to carry so much confidence through Paddock and Graham Hill and Clearways on that last lap. He was 3/10 quicker alone in the final sector.
Remember, he's on the soft option tyre. He did say he felt that was the better tyre of the two for the BMW, which is the only rear-wheel drive car in the field, which doesn't necessarily apply to the Focus that Manley's driving or any of the other front-wheel drive cars. Manley will have to run his soft tyre in race 3, as will most of the field. The 10 cars on the grid, 7 of them will be running the soft tyre in race 3. So we reach the halfway stage of race 2. It is nose to tail now. Aidan Carter started 5th on the grid, worked his way through to 2nd, and has cut down a 3-second deficit to Lewis Manley in next to no time at all. And now Manley has to start defending. Here we go into the second half of this race. How and where can Aidan Carter get past and take the lead?
So Aidan is now going to have to watch his tyre temperatures. Following the car in front is definitely going to start to overheat his fronts. So he will hope to get this done nice and quickly, but we know how difficult Lewis is to pass, and he's become very defensive very early on.
Compromising line to Clearways. Aidan will want to try and get a better run and try and get alongside him, maybe into Paddock and get the tyre to line, and nose to tail once again as they complete lap 13 out of 24. Manley in the Ford, Carter in the BMW. Manley very defensive. He's on for too early in apex because Carter will cut back and get the better run up the hill.
I think that line kind of compromised Carter a bit as he goes up the outside.
Yeah, it was a good effort by Manley, actually managed to cover that very, very well, because he could have left himself compromised and there wasn't much room for error. So good defensive driving by Lewis Manley so far to keep Aidan Carter at bay. The lap times have dropped as a 48.0 by Manley last time round, so Carter's now lapping a second slower than he was when he was catching up. So he does prove the pace differential and just how much Aidan Carter is gaining from having these soft tyres at his disposal. But he's still got 10 more laps to make the move.
It'll be interesting if these two keep battling for the rest of this race. Will Bennyworth be able to jump onto the back? He is 6 seconds off at the moment, but if they keep lapping that far off the pace, that gap could come down.
48.2s by both of these two last time round. Ben Bennyworth, who's 6 seconds down the road, was actually slightly slower, 48.3. And now has Carter got a chance to make the move? Oh, just in time, Lewis Manley shut the door. And that is as close as Aidan Carter has come so far. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside of him, go around to Graham Hill Bend. Meanwhile, Stuart Pringle's got a chance to have a go at John Dean Smith. Here is a bit of contact. John shuts the door very, very late indeed. Just about holds on to that 4th place for the time being. Back with your leaders. Through Surtees, the right of McLaren, then break for that long, almost endless right of Clearways to complete lap 15 of 24. We have a real duel on our hands. Manley, look, a really good run. He must be looking at the hybrid, surely. He's going to have to try and go all the way around the outside of him. He's done it once in this race already. Carter's ahead. He might get it done all the way around the outside of Lewis Manley. You don't say that very often. Can he get it stopped? He's going to go very, very wide. He has. He's done it, and he can go defensive into Druids, and Aidan Carter takes the lead on lap 16.
Absolutely brilliant move. He had such a run out of Clearways, and there was nothing really Lewis could do at that point. If he moved across, it would have been too late, and they would have come together. So great driving from the two of them. It's a very difficult thing to overtake Lewis around the outside.
Absolutely, you do not see that every day. Obviously, Aidan Carter, not only the soft tyres, but having finished 5th in race 1, quite a bit more hybrid at his disposal as well relative to Lewis Manley. So a great job by Aidan Carter. Manley not giving up the fight, and I would expect absolutely nothing less from him, but he has got his work cut out. The remaining 8 laps of this race, if he wants to say get 4 wins out of 5 this year.
I think he's suddenly forgotten about time management.
Yeah, funny that. So it's Carter, Manley, these two about 6.5 seconds ahead of Bennyworth. John Dean Smith got a bit of a breathing space over Stuart Pringle now. The gap is 0.65. Then it's Gareth Boyle, Charlie Keir, Josh Vincent. Those three more or less nose to tail, 6th, 7th and 8th. And then Dale and Ben Crisp are 9th and 10th with 1/3 of this race remaining. And Aidan Carter now 8/10 clear for a good first sector there. And he's given himself a bit of breathing space.
Yeah, he needs to now I think his plan is not to just overdo it, just drive at a nice pace that he's comfortable with, that he knows is going to get into the end of the race on those tyres.
Yeah, very interesting race 3 in prospect as it stands with the reverse grid to come. We don't know how many people will be reversed. It could be 6, it could be 10, it could be anywhere in between. When we know, we will tell you. We're having a look at John Dean Smith here. He's got a decent gap now over Stuart Pringle in 4th place. Go on board with Charlie Keir fighting Gareth Ball. This is 6th and 7th, side by side. Here in the pink, Boyle in the orange. These two, like all the guys in the rear half, will have plenty of action to enjoy in this race so far. Very wide by Gareth Ball, well off into the gravel. I think that's decided that 6th place in Charlie Keir's favour. Josh Vincent in the background also going off almost in sympathy.
This race is doing wonders for your voice, Dan. I feel a bit sorry for you at the moment, but I know how you feel. I've been there before.
I'm surprised I got this far, to be honest. I thought this is the 4th race out of 5 for the day, and I thought I'd really be struggling. So, I'm a big boy, I'll soldier on. So, 6 laps to go. Carter now leading by almost 2 seconds, so I think the race win has been pretty much decided. Bennyworth has 2.2 seconds over John Dean Smith, who in turn now has almost 1.1 over Stuart Pringle. So the top 5 now looking relatively settled. But look at those 4 drivers there, all good drivers, a lot of experience there. Manley, Bennyworth and Dean Smith, and Aidan Carter has come through and has had to pass all of them on track in order to be able to win this race. We've come to the line now with 5 laps to go.
So Bennyworth doing a good job with those soft tyres as well. He's pretty much matching the pace of Lewis Manley in front of him. Looks like he's going to go a little bit quicker than him this lap as well. So doing a great job with those softs too, considering that it's a front-wheel drive car also. Yeah, on that previous lap, by the way, Aidan Carter was the only man lapping in the 47s. He was doing a 47.4. Ben Benny was on a 47.5 there. It's a really, really good lap time, but I mean, he's still over 6 seconds on Lewis Manley. So barring an absolute disaster for Manley, I think Bennyworth was going to have to settle for 3rd place, but that will be his 3rd podium of the day.
In fact, it'll be his third podium in a row after he had one in the Porsches as well. Let's have a look at Charlie Keir and Gareth Boyle, actually, because they're the closest battle on track. Here they are, still scrapping away for 6th and 7th with about 4.5 laps to go. Gareth Boyle's fairly loose interpretation of track limits continues. They do look like they're having fun, though.
That's the main thing, though, isn't it? As long as they're enjoying it, and it's something for us to watch as well, which is great. But will Gareth Boyle be able? Because I think he is quite clearly faster than Charlie Keir in front of him. I just think he just needs to keep it on the grey stuff when he actually makes the move. He's just leaving it a bit too late on those brakes.
Yeah, I thought you're right. I think Charlie's a bit more consistent. I think it's probably unfair to use the word tortoise, but it is a bit of the tail of the hare in the tortoise here. Oh, Josh Vincent's gone well off in the background. He's managed to rejoin. I don't think he's lost a place. He's still in 8th. He's well ahead of Dale Crispy in 9th. But yeah, Paddock Hill Bend, notoriously a difficult corner to get right. These two still fighting out for 6th and 7th. I don't think there's actually very much between these two in the championship at the moment. If I have a look at the points, there isn't. Gareth Boyle is 2 points ahead of Charlie Keir at the moment in the championship in 7th and 8th. Although, with Stuart Pringle ahead of them, he's coming to join in that battle too. So they're going to cross the line this time. 3 laps to go, and that last spot in the top 6 very much still up for grabs.
Yeah, all to play for as Gareth looks again a little bit too deep into Paddock Hill. He's going to run a little wide on the exit, but he's got a good run into Druids, but he's just that little bit too far back. And Charlie just putting the car exactly where he needs to be. In fact, he's dropped Gareth a little bit in this sector. So yeah, it's very easy to get carried away by just trying to get past every single corner, and that can just really slow you down. You need to just take a more sensible approach, a more slowed down approach to it if you really want to get that move done.
Now we've got 2 laps to go and the race looking relatively settled apart from this battle. So just a quick word, Grant. What are you expecting to see in race 3 with a reverse grid and with 7 of the 10 drivers on the soft tyres?
An epic battle with Aiden and Lewis. Aiden obviously being in front, so it'll be interesting to see the reverse of that. Let's see if Lewis can get in front of Aiden with those soft tyres.
Well, at the moment, Lewis will be starting ahead because of the reverse grid.
You're right.
Yes.
Ignore me.
So this time, Lewis will be on the soft car on the medium, but Aiden's going to have to try and pass him once again if he wants to get another win on the board. But of course, how well they can deal with the traffic, how many cars are going to be reversed, will have a big factor to play as well. Aiden's just done a 46.8 on the penultimate lap of the race, 1.3 seconds quicker than Lewis Manley did a fastest last sector, and he is absolutely loving life in that BMW on the soft tyres. But it's worth mentioning, despite the dominance, he's leading by over 5 seconds now. This is going to be his first win in touring cars.
It is, and it's been a little while coming, I think, and Donington didn't go well for him at all. He was even thinking about changing from the BMW. I think he's definitely glad he did not now.
Absolutely. He was a winner in the Porsches at Donington, a win in the Porsches here this morning, and now Aiden Carter is a Simply Race Touring Car Championship race winner in fine style from 5th on the grid. Carter wins round 5.
Brilliant victory for Aiden
In
Carter.
absolutely fine style. His final winning margin, more than 6 seconds from Lewis Manley, has to settle for 2nd. And 3rd place is going to be Ben Bennyworth, a 2nd touring car podium of the day. But what about 4th? There's not much between John Dean Smith and Stuart Pringle. They're nose to tail again as they finish 4th and 5th. And then we go back to this battle for 6th place. Charlie Keir is going to get it ahead of Gareth Boyle. And then it's going to be Josh Vincent, the last car on the lead lap. There he is. And then Ben Crisp ahead of Dale.
I really enjoyed that. That was a really, really fun race. It had more action than I was expecting, so I'm really thrilled. Really happy for Aiden. I think that's a little bit of karma for race 1, it must be said as well. You know, I think he was definitely in contention for the victory there and could have won that race. Also, be really interesting to see how the two compete in race 3. Be interesting to see how Lewis treats those soft tyres in race 3 after seeing how the mediums handle in race 1 and 2. But with the other drivers we've seen on the field, the soft tyre seems to just work. It's very interesting.
Very much so. But there were lots of people running it and onto reverse grid, plenty of curveballs to look forward to in race 3. Stay with us because in a couple of minutes we'll be on the podium to talk to your top 3 finishes. 3rd place Ben Bennyworth, 2nd place Lewis Manley, and a first-time touring car winner, Aiden Carter. So, welcome back to Sim Race Touring Car Championship. Our interviews after race 2 coming up very shortly. But first, we're going to do the draw with the glamorous Grant Lyman is with us to decide how many we're going to reverse for race 3. It could be anywhere between 6 and 10. And it is much to Aidan Carter's pleasure, 6. Which I think means that Charlie Keir is going to be on pole position. So thank you very much, Grant. You can go and get back in your box now. And we will speak to our podium finishers from race 2, round 5. And we will start with Ben Bennyworth, who finished 3rd, his 3rd podium of the day. He's now joint 2nd in the championship with Aidan Carter. We obviously didn't see too much. It was a relatively quiet race for you, Ben, for a change.
Yes, massive change. Yeah, kind of went with the on that last race. I didn't really feel like there was a massive difference between that and the mediums I ran in the first race, apart from, well, I mean, I don't know if you saw, well, obviously with the first race, but in terms of duration, in terms of tyres going off, it kind of felt the same as the mediums, to be honest.
Yeah. Obviously, this race you didn't have pressure from behind throughout because you were defending very hard from Stewart all the way through race 1. Did that make it easier from a tyre management perspective?
A little bit. It kind of had the weight off my shoulders in terms of race 1, because you know you didn't have John and Stewart behind you in that race, so yeah, it kind of felt like more of a Sunday drive more than anything.
And of course, you'll be 4th on the grid now after the draw for race 3. And you've now picked up, I think 3 podiums already in the touring cars this season. I know you didn't get a win last year because you lost out on the 3rd place time on Countback.
Yeah.
Is this going to be your day for a win, do you reckon?
Depends on what happens with Lewis and Aidan, really. If they both trip each other up, then who knows?
To make sure you're in the right place to capitalise.
Exactly that.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Ben. Good chance we'll see you one more time later on after the presentation for race 3. We will now speak to our runner-up, which is Lewis Manley. Lewis is going to come and join us. Well done, Lewis. A 2nd place, and your championship leads up to 18 points, but just couldn't quite match Aidan on those softs.
No, he was like a rocket. So
With your microphone there. There we go.
yeah, so he was like a rocket, and I didn't realise he was on the soft tyre. So then I thought, how on earth is he catching me up that fast? So there was nothing I can do, especially him catching so quickly, and then got past me around the outside, and I said fair play to him. So as now reverse grid's only 6, so that's helped me out a bit. So P5 I'll start, and now we use the soft tyre.
Was it a case of sort of when you see him the pace and he got past and everything, thinking this is a good day, particularly with Martin not here to take the points?
Probably, yeah, as he's away, because this would be his drop round. So as now, because when Aidan got past me and catching me, it was just like a train. I just had no chance of keeping him behind. So, and then I tried again at Druids, and then of course I was just a bit too far back. And then lap later tried again, and I just went too wide of paddock, so he was gone. So I just thought I'd just coast to 2nd place and look after the tyres. So I've still got good points in the bag, so let's see what we can do for race 3.
Yeah, good point. You get your past 100 point mark in race 3. So thank you very much, Lewis. We will probably see you again after the end of the final race of the afternoon, and I'll take that with you. And we'll bring Aidan Carter in. Already had 2 wins in the Porsches, now a touring car winner as well. Congratulations, Aidan. And given the pace you had, particularly all the way through to the end, you look like you enjoyed that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That was good fun. Yeah, it was nice to start, well, I say nice to start a bit further back. Obviously, circumstance in the first race put me there, but it was nice to fight my way through. Soft tyres felt amazing in that race, really, really good. And yeah, the BMW is far suited to the softer compound, so played to its strengths. And yeah, being able to chase Manley down in that race was something different, considering how he dominated the Donington round.
Yeah.
Which is nice to be able to put one over on him for once.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we noticed in both the races you've had so far, even opposite side of the problem you have in race 1, is being able to put some really quick times right at the end of the race. I mean, what is there a secret? I mean, how are you able to get that kind of lap time out of it, even after that much wear and heating?
I think it's just a characteristic of the BMW, to be honest. I think the BMW struggles to heat its tyres up in cooler conditions. It takes a bit of a while to get going at the start of the race, but the payback for that is that you've got more pace and more grip at the end. So I think it's just trying to manage it at the start, and then once you get to the second half of the race, that's when the BMW really shines. The soft tyre was even better because you get that with the end of the soft tyre not going off, but you also get the heat up at the start. So it just kind of just a perfect storm of everything that the BMW could need to be fast.
Well, obviously I've done you a favour by drawing 6 for race 3. You've only got 5 cars to work your way through, but 4 of them are going to be on the soft tyre. So
Yes.
what are your expectations for the last race of the day?
Playing it safe early on, I think. I don't need to fight the guys in front straight away, and obviously everybody in front of me is a front-wheel drive car, so they've got a little bit more of a task of having to manage the tyres. I think Bennyworth mentioned it, that the soft tyre didn't really perform amazingly for him in the second race, so yeah, I think I'm just going to have to sit back, kind of watch them do their battle, and then when their front tyres are done, that's my opportunity to pounce later on in the race.
That's great, Aidan. Thank you very much. Congratulations
you.
once again, a touring car race winner. Maybe again, who knows what happened in race 3 with the top 6 reverse. Charlie Keir will start on pole position. Stay with us. Race 3, round 6 of the championship is just around the corner. Welcome back to Brands Hatch for our third and final touring car race of the day, round 6 of the championship, our reverse grid race. We, by which I mean I, have pulled out 6 from the draw. So Charlie Keir in the Blobbymobile will start in pole position with Stuart Pringle alongside him. Then John Dean Smith, Ben Bennyworth, Lewis Manley, our race 2 winner Aidan Carter. Then Gareth Boyle, Josh Vincent and the 2 Chris brothers, Ben and Dale, at the back of the grid for our third and final 24-lap race of the day. I am, as always, Dan McCalla. Alongside me still is Grant Lyman. Just a word on the soft tyre, because there are 7 drivers in the field who are running the soft tyre in this race. Charlie Keir on pole position, John Dean Smith in 3rd, Lewis Manley in 5th, and all of the back 4, Boyle, Vincent and the 2 Chris brothers, all running the soft tyre in this race. So those guys on the outside of the grid in the first 3 rows, Pringle, Bennyworth and Carter, they're the 3 that aren't. They'll be back on the mediums. And with it being reverse grid as well, Grant, those are plenty in the mix for us to consider as the drivers head off on their warm-up lap.
It does, and I can't help but think, after driving so well as he has all day, that Stuart Pringle must be thinking, I have a really good chance at victory here.
That's a very, very interesting thought, actually. I mean, he's on the mediums. The role and the ability of the softs through the race sort of varies quite a bit, depending really on who you ask. It's a valid point, though. Stuart's driven particularly well in both races so far, has thoroughly deserved to pick up the results that he's had. He's had a 4th and a 5th so far, which I think has moved him up ahead of, he's 2 points behind Charlie Keir and 3 behind Gareth Boyle in the championship. So a chance for him to really make up some good ground on those guys, potentially be sort of the best of the championship newcomers.
So you may have seen Charlie Keir come to a stop there. I think he just did his first ever formation lap in the lead a bit too quickly. He literally came to a stop to let everybody catch up a little bit. So I'm not sure if that was on purpose or if it was accidental, but he came to a stop there and everyone else started to catch up again as everyone starts to make their way to their group.
I heard John Dean Smith laughing from where I am now, so I've got a feeling there was what Murray Walker would call a major malmisorganisation problem. So it's Keir in the pink and spotty car on the front row, Stuart Pringle there in the Tiger colours, and then John Dean Smith for the 3rd race in a row, starting 3rd. But watch out, of course, for Bennyworth, Manley and Carter fighting their way through. The 24-lap race, round 6 of the Simply Race Touring Car Championship on the Brands Hatch Indy circuit is about to get underway. Away we go. Not a bad start at all from Charlie Keir. Pringle trying to come across to defend from John Dean Smith. I don't think he's quite going to get clear. He's always just pushed out on John, out onto the grass, and John has to back out of it. Pringle's going to go wide. He might go out to the gravel. Bennyworth has gone very wide as well. Manley's come through into 4th place. Good start for him. And now more panel bash between Dean Smith and Pringle. JDS gets up the inside and holds on to that 2nd place. It's Keir, Dean Smith, Pringle, Manley. And Aidan Carter, race 2 winner, has spun at the exit of Druids and has dropped to the back of the pack.
That's a big blow for Aidan, and probably a huge sigh of relief from Lewis Manley as his biggest threat is potentially out of the way.
Oh, big slide from John Dean Smith, huge slide. So he tries to get the car turned into clear. As they come to the end of the 1st lap, then it's Keir, Dean Smith. There's Pringle ahead of Manley. Gareth Ball behind them in 5th. Then Bennyworth, Dale Crisp, Ben Crisp, Josh Vincent, and the recovering Aidan Carter.
Yeah, Aidan about 2 seconds off of the back of the next car in front, and that's now down to 1 second down to the next car.
Pringle's put Manley on the grass. He's still put on the grass and spun him round. And I've got to say, I think Stuart Pringle should have been a bit more circumspect and give him more room there on lap 2 of the race. He's been the big loser out of it. Manley's ended up getting the place into 3rd place. Oh, Ball's put him off. Ball's put Manley off. Oh, dearie me, into Graham, and it's all kicked off in race 3 as it so often does. And our 2 top drivers in these touring car races on pace here this weekend have both come to grief in the opening laps.
And now look at this, John Dean Smith all over the back of our leader, Charlie Keir.
This is a huge opportunity now for John Dean Smith, right behind Charlie Keir. He's 3.5 seconds clear of Ben Bennyworth, fastest man on track so far. Aidan Carter is 7 seconds back in 8th and obviously had a spin that's damaged the tyres. But Lewis Manley came side by side with Gareth Boyle, and Boyle just seemed to come up, swerved out wide onto the outside and just didn't really seem to give him the real. I think in either of those incidents, I think in both cases, I think Manley should have been given a bit more space.
I completely agree with that one.
Keir's gone wide. Sorry, got to interrupt you, Grant. Keir's gone wide at Graham Hill Bend, and Johnson is all over the back of him in this fight for the lead. This is the run of race 3. We all come through McLaren. John not fancying a chance into clearways. We'll try and take a later apex. I wonder if he might try and get onto the hybrid. Both of these drivers on the soft tyres. Ben Bennyworth behind them is on the mediums. Worth bearing that in mind. Ben Crisp, after all this, has found himself in 4th. Aidan Carter recovering is up to 6th.
Yeah, there was a bit of a coming together with Vincent and Crisp there, so there was a bit of an incident there, so Carter being able to basically claim that 6th place. Lewis Manley is definitely a man on a mission though, puts in the fastest lap of the race, a 47.0 with those soft tyres.
You wouldn't like him when he's angry, so we will keep an eye on Carter and Manley's progress through the field throughout this race. We're only on lap 4, long way to go, but let's stick with this battle for the lead. Charlie Keir has John Dean Smith all over you like a cheap suit as they come through to McLaren and then to Clearways once again. Focus, leads Focus. John Dean Smith really worked so hard to improve his pace in the touring cars and everything in this Napa Focus, and this is possibly the best chance he's going to get of getting his first win. Over the line, let's have a look at the lap time. These guys well in the 48. Ben Bennyworth doing a 47.8 and he's bringing the gap down. I think John will want to try and get clear very quickly, although after Bennyworth and maybe even Carter are going to catch him up.
So Lewis Manley already back on the rear end of Gareth Boyle. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. What's Lewis going to do?
Lewis Manley a 46.8 that time round. He's going 1.5 seconds quicker than the leaders, and here he comes the inside of Stuart Pringle. I think he's just completely
Boyle.
Or Gareth Boyle. So I just lost his focus a bit with Manley coming through, and so Lewis Manley managed to get himself back up into 8th place.
I do wonder if Gareth saw that it was Lewis and gave him the space. I do wonder, because he moved into the yellow lines.
The old
he
long
moved
lap
right out
penalty
the way.
from the superbike.
Yeah, he moved right out the
I don't know,
way.
it looked like it might have been a bit of an accidental one, just where someone sort of vision just gets their eye gets taken just momentarily and they miss their braking point. But either way, Lewis Manley's moved back up into 8th place. Keir got a bit wide there coming out of Drury's, but he'll hold on to the place. Then Dean Smith, 3 seconds clear of Bennyworth. Ben Crisp, he's so high up that he ought to be getting a nosebleed in 4th. Then it's Stuart Pringle. Aidan Carter is in 6th and only 7 seconds off the lead. 6.7 I should say now. He, even after that spin, cannot be discounted.
Definitely not. We've seen him close margins just like that. He will be... he'll be kicking himself, especially when he saw Lewis off the next lap. He'll be absolutely fuming with himself that he made that. It just looked like too much throttle.
I think John Dean Smith's on the hybrid because he's going to try and go around the outside to Paddock Ben as they start lap 7. Can he sweep all the way around him? He's got round the outside. Can he get it stopped and turned in? I think he can just about. Great move by John Dean Smith. He takes the lead on lap 7.
Absolutely brilliant move, but look here, not giving up just yet, and he is going to have a fair bit more hybrid than John, so don't expect John to just drive off into the distance, because I think Keir's now going to utilise as much hybrid as he can, as Aidan Carter is now on the back of Stuart Pringle for 5th place.
Absolutely plenty of action to look forward to. I mean, even Lewis, 12.5 seconds behind, depending on traffic. There's still lots of people who could potentially win this race, but it is John Dean Smith and the number 94 Napa Racing UK car. We've already had one first-time winner in Simply Race Touring Car today in Aidan Carter. Are we going to get another one?
Just news from race control, 10-second penalty applied to Gareth Boyle and a 10-second penalty applied to Stuart Pringle as well for both the same incident, again, well, the different incidents, both with Lewis Manley.
Yeah, which I think is generally fair. I mean, it's hard to say with the Pringle one because Manley wasn't greatly inconvenienced by it. Not that the move was fair, because it wasn't. Aidan Carter is trying to come back on. Pringle's trying to defend. Oh, that's a very brusque defence by Stuart Pringle. Obviously been had 10 seconds out of his time, so Aidan Carter is effectively already 5th. But if he's got designs of trying to still get on the podium and win this race, he will still want to try and get past him on the road.
Lewis Manley has overtaken Josh Vincent on track as well, so he is now just behind Aidan Carter, be it 5 seconds behind him.
Yeah, more than 5.5 seconds behind Aidan Carter. We're watching this as a battle for 5th on the road at least before Pringle's penalty is applied. John Dean Smith, meanwhile, is 3/4 of a second clear of Charlie Keir. And he's 4 seconds clear of Ben Bennyworth. So depending on tyre wear, John Dean Smith in a very, very good position indeed. And now I think Carter's going to go through. Oh, Pringle's come straight across him there, and that's really right on the limit of what you can reasonably do defensively, I think. He's already got one penalty in this race and another one, and I don't think the steward's going to be taking a very good view of him at all. I know he was warned about his driving in race 1. He's attacking John Dean Smith, and I know this is something the stewards are going to be looking at very closely.
Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder if there's going to be some messages going to him over the radio now. We don't normally do that, but when you start seeing things go over the line, you sometimes have to interfere.
It's hard to say. I'm not the steward, I'm not making this in, but he really is, I think, pushing the limits of what's acceptable. But certainly was in the Manley case. That was definitely over the line. But Aidan Carter, one way or another, is still going to have to try and make the way past him, and especially because I'm looking at the lap times of how much is it costing him to Manley, because these two are doing mid-48s. Manley just did another 46.8, and now he might be able to get on the inside. I think Stuart Pringle's going to try and shut the door again. He shouldn't be shutting the door like that when you're alongside someone. You really shouldn't be doing that. Aiden's there. He's got the place. I was going to say, because the gap, Manley's only 3.5 seconds behind now. Aiden Carter has got through, but for me, I can only speak my own opinion, I think that defence from Stuart was just too much.
Yeah, quite a bit too much, I think. We saw a brief yellow in Sector 3, not really sure who that is. I think it's Dale Crisp, that's the only one that really makes sense in terms of positions. Yeah, I think that's him there on the outside.
Yeah, he's just rejoined a lap down, so obviously made a mistake somewhere. Hats off to Ben Crisp, he keeps this going. I don't want to put the mockers on him, he's doing a great job in 4th place at the moment. I will say one thing though, Grant, this is going to get interesting when Manley tries to get past Pringle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Lewis is going to take any sort of slamming the door shut like that very well at all. He's not going to be in the best moods with Pringle because he won't know that Pringle has a penalty. He won't know that Boyle has a penalty either. He kept a calm head when he got to Gareth though, but then saying that, Gareth gave him all the space in the world.
Yeah, very true. So we'll have to see how that goes next few laps. Looking back at the front, John Dean Smith is managing the gap over Charlie Keir. It's only 0.6 of a second, whether that's sort of Charlie having good pace or John just trying to save the tyres, I don't know, but they've extended their gap over Ben Bennyworth, who's 4 seconds behind Keir. He's got Ben Crisp just behind him, and then it'll be Aiden Carter a couple of seconds behind. We're on board with Ben Crisp in that lovely British racing green, looking ahead to Ben Bennyworth. This is 4th, looking ahead to 3rd, as we reach the halfway point of the race on lap 12 of 24.
So Aiden Carter only 2.5 seconds behind this pair. So a podium is definitely within reach for Aiden, you have to say. Halfway through the race now, long way to go, and the pace that Aiden's carrying is quite decent compared to the cars in front of him. Only 2/10 quicker than Ben in front, but a whole 6/10 quicker than Ben Bennyworth in P3. So, yeah,
absolutely. I think we do need to go back to the battle for 6th place because Lewis Manley is only just over 1 second, less than a second now, behind Stuart Pringle, and this will be a bit of an irresistible force against movable object kind of scenario. Aiden Carter's been able to scamper away, he's nearly 2 seconds clear of Pringle now in that 5th place. Don Lee Smith at the front, as you can see, has got his lead up to almost a second. That's as big as it's been as we go into the second half of race 3. Don't forget, we're back in action. Thruxton, rounds 5 and 6 for the Porsche, 7, 8, 9 for the touring cars on December the 10th. We hope you can join us for that. We've also got Simply Race 24 hours, the final round of the Endurance Series around Yas Marina on the 11th and 12th of November. And we hope you can join us for those between now and the end of the year. But first of all, back to race 3. And Manley, very, very close to Pringle now. Now, will he have seen what Pringle, obviously, he's already experienced it once from Pringle. Will he have seen the same thing with Carter as well? How's Manley approaching?
Lewis
right on him now.
He's right on him. He's got a hell of an exit from clearways, but he's going to have to keep a calm head. If Lewis keeps on thinking about that incident, he's going to overthink it. He needs to just get the move done as quickly as he can and as cleanly as he can. It's going to be tough with Pringle, though.
Can he get the cut back? Because we know Stuart will try and close the door. We've seen it a number of times in this race already. He's not close enough on this occasion. Back up the hill, or I can just see that was who's in the bright pink car behind these two. That was.
That would be, it could be
Dale Crisp, I think.
Yeah,
I think Dale Crisp is a lap down off again. No, I was going to say, because, yeah, Charlie Keir's still running in P2. Through 30s and McLaren again on lap 14. 10 laps to go at the end of this one.
Aiden now only a second.
Pringle's gone very wide. That's going to give Manley the opportunity he needs. They're going to be side by side down the straight. Manley will have the inside for Paddock, though. What is Stuart doing? What is he doing? He's just turned Manley into the pit wall. And that's, I'm sorry, that's not on for me. That really isn't on. And that's what the third or fourth incident of Stuart doing that in this race. 2 of them to Lewis Manley. I think Lewis Manley's going to have every right to feel aggrieved at the end of this race.
He's been given a further 5-second penalty. I've just seen it on my screen.
But another
for driving standards, so there could be another one coming his way, because there's no way that was for that, because it was too soon I received the message.
Yeah, he's well alongside him. You've got to give people racing room. It's something that's always made clear in the brief and everything, and that just simply isn't on.
No. I wonder if Pringle feels like he was hard done by or something by Lewis, because that felt personal to me. Like, he's not raced like this all day.
No, he hasn't. He was obviously did put a couple of attacks in race 1, but it was all I thought hard but fair. And race 2 was absolutely fine, but in race 3 it's just driving. It was like a completely different person's driving.
Yeah.
So it doesn't change anything for Lewis Manley, because he's still got to get past him on the road.
And another 5 seconds, I think, has just been added on, so that's 20 seconds added to his race time. You know, you make your own luck in this sport sometimes.
It is, and of course it doesn't help Lewis. He's still got to get past him. We'll keep an eye on third, fourth and fifth now because they're nose to tail. Carter has caught Crisp and Bennyworth. Here they are. That is Ben Crisp still in fourth place, and even fifth would be a great result. Ben Crisp's best result so far is 8th, and that was in race 1 earlier on today. And here's Manley now trying to have another go on Pringle. Can't quite go inside him this time.
I think Lewis is just going to have to think outside the box and try outside at Paddock Hill Bend. It looks like that's what he's going for.
Try and get the late apex,
later on the bait.
Late apex and the cut back maybe, and not give Stuart the time to respond. He can't quite do it this time. Stuart will once again go to the inside and everything, and he's going to try and go all the way around the outside. It's very hard to do, especially when there's not much of a difference in performance seeing the cars through. Druids back down here on lap 17 at the front. John Dean Smith still managing the gap. He's still only 0.8 of a second ahead of Charlie Keir, so potentially still a battle for the win at play. There's lots still to be decided with just over 7 laps to go.
Yeah, I think John's starting to get to the end of his life on the tyres. We've seen him struggling with on-tyres all day, so Kia is going to definitely be thinking, I could be on for a victory here, as we see Manley once again, this time going straight to the outside from the get-go.
As they come to the line once again, 7 laps to go. Manley still trying to get back. He will have this 6th place on the road because of Pringle's penalty, but this and not being able to get past him is hindering any further progress for the championship leader.
Yeah, definitely.
He would have expected, I think, probably to come out of this weekend with 3 wins, given that obviously Buchan and Wilson aren't here, and it looks like he's only going to come out of it with 1.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, he had very, very high hopes for this weekend. You know, he was saying how he's hoping to take all 3 races here. But yeah, it's how it plays sometimes in racing. You can never like count your blessings. It's motorsport. It's unpredictable. It might be simulated motorsport.
And he might try and get alongside. Let's see what happens now. If he thinks he's got alongside, he hasn't quite this time. 6 laps to go now. John Dean Smith will have to keep half an eye on the leaders here because there's still only 0.6 of a second between John Dean Smith and Charlie Keir, both of them going for their first win. Oh, and Pringle's gone very, very wide. This time he's gone out into the gravel, and that solved the problem for Manley, but at what cost? So let's go back to the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Bennyworth, Crisp and Carter in that order. Lewis Manley's now 5 seconds behind Carter. I don't think he's really, barring an error, going to make up from 6th place. Here are your leaders, though. We haven't seen them for a while. Charlie Keir is keeping John Dean Smith more than honest. They're going to come to the line now with 5 laps to go. Who has managed to keep more life in their tyres?
Well, Aidan Carter's got a hell of a run out of clearways on Ben Crisp. I think he's going to potentially get the job done. Oh, he loses a little bit, though.
Didn't quite have the traction there, did he?
No, it was a bit weird because he was right on him and then just seemed to lose it, unless Ben just used all of his hybrid there.
But the gap between the leaders is now down to less than half a second. Charlie Keir is looking increasingly racy as we go into the last 5 laps now. Both of these drivers been their first full season of Simply Race Touring Cars racing, both going for their first win. Indeed, for Charlie Keir, this would be his first podium. His 6th place that got him this reverse grid pole for this race was his best result so far. So this would be really him breaking new ground here. It is just these 2 for the win. Ben Bennyworth in 3rd is still 4 seconds behind, and he'll be increasingly looking in his mirrors towards the end of this race. He won't be looking forward. He'll be looking at back and trying to hold on for what will be his 4th podium of the day, having taken one in the Porsche as well. So the leaders to the line, 4 laps to go, and less than a quarter of a second between them. I think Charlie Keir might have been on the hybrid there, because you can see really closing speed. They're both in the Ford Focus, so parity of machinery, but it's all going to come down now to tyre life, hybrid availability, and just holding on under the pressure. Can John soak that pressure up and get that first win on the board? He's only 3.5 laps away. On a personal note, because obviously I don't want to sound biased, because I'm really rooting for both of these drivers, but I am going to the pub with John after this, and him winning means he'll be in a better mood for me to have a pint with him. So
that's always a plus, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So we've had a lot of commentators' curses today, and I don't want to put any more on anyone.
No.
So just for the enjoyment of that pint, I hope John wins. But Charlie's done a fantastic job here as a relative new driver. To be in contention for the win. John's more experienced here at Simply Race as a venue as well by doing Shred. And has done a really, really good job. Here's Bennyworth, Crisp and Carter, still 3rd, 4th and 5th. 3 laps to go now.
I can hear a lot of discussions outside between drivers. I can hear a lot of
big send up the inside from Carter. Big send. Aiden Carter comes from the middle of last week, and that was a perfect textbook example of how to send it into Druids. There was a little bit of contact. Ben Chris, fair play to him, gave him the room, and Ben Chris, I'm sure, will be delighted if he gets P5. But Aiden Carter on a good recovery drive for P4. Does he have time to have a go at Bennyworth on the last lap? He's got just over 2 laps to go. Dean Smith, Charlie Keir, still around half a second between them. That's been the case since John Dean Smith took the lead all the way back on lap 7. It's now lap 23 of 24, and John Dean Smith is just under 2.4 miles away from taking a maiden victory. And Charlie Keir went quite wide there at Paddock, and that's given John some vital breathing space.
Yeah, it has. I think that could make the victory for him. Don't want to just say that just yet. And Aiden looks like he's about to make a move on Bennyworth late in the race too.
You're right, Aiden's all over the back of Ben, but he's only going to get one go at it into Druids because a lap and a half left. Both these guys, remember, on the medians because they used their softs in race 2. So let's see if Aiden gets close enough because he's going to get one shot at it into Druids, unless he saves some hybrid into Paddock. John D. Smith about to start the last lap. His lead is 1.5 seconds, so barring disaster, he's going to get that first one on the board. Charlie Keir's on for a more than creditable second. Who is going to finish third? Ben Bennyworth or the recovering Aiden Carter, who went off on the first lap and has worked his way back to the field as best he can onto the final lap of the day.
Yeah, Charlie Keir went off at Graham Hill, hence why the gap has expanded quite a lot. I think he's just settled for second now.
Yeah, and that's a great result, 17 much then ones, and we'll get to speak to him on the podium for the first time, which is even better. Always great to speak to new drivers. Ben probably didn't need to go defensive into Druids, but decided to anyway, with it being the last lap and everything, but he's just left himself compromised on the back straight. I don't know if Aiden's got any hybrid. Now's the time to use it. As they come through Surtees and McLaren, he might have to do him on the run to the line. Oh, I think he was just about to have a look at the inside there. I don't think he's quite done it, but no doubt about a winner of 3 different winners today. And finally, a first touring car win on the board for Napa Racing UK. John Dean Smith wins round 6. Great drive for JDS. Charlie Keir result, maiden podium in second. Ben Bennyworth third again, his 4th podium of the day. Then it's Aiden Carter. Ben Crisp in 5th, another great result for a newcomer. A really consistent drive from the Forest Green car. Lewis Manley will naturally be very disappointed and probably rightly agree with only 6th place. And then it may well be Josh Vincent in the end in 7th place, depending on how the penalties were applied further back. We know Stuart Pringle will be given quite a heavy penalty. Gareth Boyle's got one as well, and so that will play out later on.
In terms of the points, that must be quite interesting, Aiden and Lewis. Aiden must have gained a fair bit.
He's only gained 3 points there, so the gap and Bennyworth levels Bennyworth gained 5. So by my reckon, Manley leads Bennyworth by 13 points in the championship. He'd be 15 ahead of Aiden Carter and 23.
So still not the worst day.
I'm looking at it. Sorry, I'm going to have to apologise. I think John Dean Smith and Ben Bennyworth are now joint second in the championship, and they're both 13 points behind Lewis Manley. I think Lewis Manley's going to be on 98.
Yeah.
And John Dean Smith and Ben Bennyworth are both being on 85.
Yes. So bear with us for a little bit. I think there's going to be a bit of a pause, because I think there's going to be a lot for race directors the stewarding team to talk about with the drivers. They're going to have to tell Pringle and Boyle about their penalties. They're probably going to have to show them why as well. There's probably going to be some debate. There's probably going to be some other incidents that they're going to have to look at as well. So it might be a little bit of a wait before we go to those final podium interviews. Do stay with us. We will go to the podium interviews, and then we will do the final podium as well to celebrate the end of the day. Please stay tuned. We'll be with you very shortly.
Welcome back to Simply Race. Interviews for race 3, round 6 of the Simply Race Touring Car Championship. We start for, I'm getting quite used to speaking to Ben Bennyworth, his 4th podium of the day, including all 3 touring car races. Another 3rd place to add to the one he picked up in the Porsches this morning.
Yeah, no.
You think you'd know by now.
Yeah.
4th time you had to do it in space about 5 hours.
It wasn't turned on.
Yeah, great job, Ben, and lots of pressure from the end from Maiden and from Ben Chris, being much to get it over the line and get another podium on the board.
Yeah, it's kind of like deja vu today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit more of an eventful race, shall we say? Kind of faded off a little bit in the first lap, and then obviously lap 2, all the shenanigans, shall we say, kind of kicked off.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was just pretty much holding off Ben and Aidan pretty much up to that in the race, really.
Are you happier to be back on the mediums?
Yes. Yeah. No, the mediums definitely felt better than what I felt on the softs. It just felt like I could attack more in terms of attack more into the
A tyre you can lean on
a
a bit
bit more than sort of being conservative on the softs.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely preferred the mediums.
And provisionally, joint 2nd in the championship as well. I'm sure you got here this morning. Should have been very happy to take that back down to South West London with you.
Yeah, and I'm sure Max is probably watching somewhere in Germany somewhere.
Oh, is that where he is? I did wonder where he was.
He's in Germany.
Oh, Max.
Yeah, and now all we've got to do is just wait until the next round of Thruxton. So.
Brilliant. Well, we'll see you then. Very well done again. Ben, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And we'll now have our runner-up. So, Charlie, the first of our new intake to get a podium finish. You had a best ever finish of 6th in race 2. Here we go. Which got you the pole for the reverse grid.
It did.
And then 2nd place, nearly a win. Congratulations. Thank
you.
Did you feel the nerves jangling when you're going for the win towards the end?
Not at the end, maybe at the beginning. I'm still shaking a little bit, but
I've been there on a reverse grid pole and leading when you
Yeah.
think you're out of position. It's difficult.
yeah, it wasn't too bad though because there's no one behind me, so it was just me and John sort of cruising into the sunset.
How are you finding it sort of getting used to the touring cars? Because obviously they've got lots of new drivers this year, lots of drivers who are very experienced, and gradually you can see the gaps closing over time. And I've driven the Focus myself, and I find it's quite a fun, easy car to drive. How are you finding getting to grips with it?
It's quite easy to keep it on the track, I guess. It does feel like you're driving a boat sometimes. Maybe that's a bit of a hot take, I don't know, but yeah, no, it's been quite easy to get to grips with it, and yeah.
Excellent. Thruxton next. Have you got much experience driving around Thruxton? Because it's a very particular kind of track.
I haven't got a clue which way Thruxton goes. So
You are in for a treat,
that's gonna be
sunshine, frankly.
Yeah.
Great, we've got 2 months of plenty to prepare. So well done, Charlie, again. First podium.
Thank you.
And I'll just turn that off for you, because unlike the other drivers, you haven't had a chance to do so early today. Thank you very much, Charlie. Well done. And our race winner in touring cars for the very first time.
How do?
This is his happy face, by the way. John Dean Smith, Simply Touring Car, race winner. The Napa, just a week after Napa on the real world British Touring Car Championship. Were you with the nerves jangling a bit towards the end?
A little bit, yeah. I don't know. It was a bit of an odd one because I felt I had quite a good start, and the soft tyres to begin with gave a real advantage, making sure that I could really get my head down and start to make some moves. And once I'd got past Charlie and started to build a little bit of a gap, I'd sort of forgot about it a little bit, just tried to concentrate on what I was doing, where I was going, no mistakes, just keep it clean, even if I was a little bit slow on time, just keep it on the black stuff, and it worked.
So it was a management, because we saw the gap was very steady. They came down a bit towards the end. We weren't sure if it was a management thing or because I know you complained about a lot of tyre wear earlier in the day.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a management thing. I could see the tyres wearing quite heavily on the front left to the point of with like 10 laps to go, I'm looking at it going, is the front left actually going to make it the full race distance? And I was trying to ignore Charlie behind really because I'd built that bit of a gap and just wanted to concentrate on what I was doing, and then he ended up using some hybrid when I didn't, and all of a sudden I looked in my rear view mirrors and there was a whacking great pink car in my rear view mirrors again. I was like, oh, hang on a minute, I might have to do something about this. Again, I'd save my hybrid towards the end to make sure that I could actually defend if necessary, because again, I don't know what it was with the focus around Brands. I don't know if it's just the car style, but all of the other guys seem to just have more tyre towards the end than any of us in the focuses.
And obviously, 6 races into the season, provisionally joint second in the championship, a win on the board, 13 points behind Lewis Maddy. You must be over the moon with that.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting that coming into today. I had high hopes for today with a couple of guys having their drop round this weekend and not being here, Chris and Martin. But yeah, walking out the other side of the weekend, joint second in the championship, alongside Ben and not that far behind Lewis is excellent place to be going forward.
Great job, congratulations John once again. I'm sure we'll enjoy the pint we're going to go and have in a minute, so well done you. That's it from me. Thank you all very much for joining us today. Next round of Simply Race Touring Cars at Thruxton along with the Porsches on December the 10th. Look forward to seeing you then, and I'm going to hand over finally for today to Grant Lyon for the presentation. Grant, take it away.
Hello everybody still watching at home. Well, I hope you've enjoyed a thrilling day of racing. 3 different races, 3 different winners, action, controversy, overtaking, accidents. It's had everything that you could want from a touring car race today. Now, we're going to go to our podium. Overall today in 3rd place with 46 points was Lewis Manley, taking our bottom step of the podium today. Big round of applause for Lewis Manley, please, everybody. In 2nd place today with 47 points was Ben Bennyworth, taking our 2nd step on the podium today. Great job by Ben, Mr. Consistent it must be said. And then our event winner for the day, 48 points, is John Dean Smith. Amazing job, great win in race 3. Good job, buddy. Nice big round of applause for our top 3. They've all driven extremely well today. Very strange that one of our race winners is not on the podium. It's been one of those days, but take one last lovely look at your top 3. One last big round of applause for all 3 of our top 3 drivers. And I really hope that everybody at home has enjoyed the racing today and everyone in the venue has enjoyed themselves today. Really hope that you all have a lovely evening and we will see you very, very soon. Goodbye.